Find it. Just go to my look. This won't be hard. Just search it. Just like, hello, phone. Where is Mighty Ducks Game Changers? Like Disney Plus. Great. Look how easy that was. Go to Disney Plus. Not there. Only the trailer.
Oh boy.
I don't know.
Yeah.
All the other Mighty Ducks things are there. The show has never sounded older.
Yeah,
the show has
I know.
The best. Now I'm going to get defensive. Just point out that my daughter is 13. All right. I mean, I can't be that old if I'm not Larry King. Now the show really sounds old. Who's that? Seattle. Has the show ever sounded older? Seattle in the NBA Finals.
F-.
I like this point. F- to me seems like just, like a cartoon.
Right.
Not a real.
Yeah,
F is the lowest.
Yeah, it was like Bugs Bunny the teacher. Like, what are we doing here?
F-.
The show ever sounded older.
The Bengals food.
See, kids, Bugs Bunny was a cartoon character. I did see the Scouts play in Buffalo. Yeah, I saw a Kansas City Scouts game. As the show ever sounded old.
Well, I'm going to be mad about this, but I'm not going to sacrifice my jersey number for it. Matthew Golden, that's taking it pretty seriously. So I went through thinking about numbers.
I think I like 22 on a wide receiver.
Bob Hayes.
Yeah, works.
Hey, can you think of another one?
No. That's why I like it.
Has the show ever sounded older?
To me, 22 doesn't strike me. Well, I mean, certainly Bob Hayes. It does not strike me as a slow number. It's one of the. He was like an Olympic 100-yard dash champion.
That was his brand.
Has the show ever sounded older? Contest time. Be caller 5 at 716-221-4WGR. That's 4947. To win yourself a pair of lawn tickets to see Breaking Benjamin and 3 Days Grace at Darien Lake Amphitheater on September 17th. Courtesy of Live Nation. Tickets are on sale now at livenation.com. Good luck. All right, what's the side?
I was outside for maybe 3 minutes. I counted 8 Q-tips on the parking lot.
Do we know if those are newly littered Q-tips? Or
no,
were they,
I don't know anything about their history.
You don't know, there's no date, there's no timeline on these Q-tips?
I didn't get right up close to the ground and take it.
Yeah.
I just know there are 8 Q-tips on the ground between our cars. 8. It was super windy yesterday, too, by the way. Like, these things would blow around. Yet, there are 8 right there. How long has this Q-tip scam been going on for? Like, it's got to be one person, right?
Those things get wet, though. They'll just seal to the ground.
Okay.
They're probably not blowing around.
I'm not saying they have to blow around, but
it has been windy, yes. I mean, yesterday especially, holy cow, when we got out of here, it was fierce. The poor awnings on my porch are taking a beating. I hung them up too early.
8.
8 Q-tips on the ground.
On the ground between our cars.
Yeah, it's
got to be one person that just throws their Q-tips out the window when they're done working on using them in their cars.
But 8?
8.
One person?
What? There's more than one person using Q-tips and throwing them outside?
I don't think I use 8 Q-tips in a year.
I think I've never used 8 Q-tips. I don't know. Maybe.
The hell is going on out there?
It's got to be one person, doesn't it?
That would be my best guess, but
and they
have
can't,
to. I don't know.
And they can't just keep them in their car to throw out another way. They just throw them out.
Yeah,
that's what's happened. That's it. What else is
the garbage? And so, I don't know. I've got the garbage.
No way.
I don't.
There's no way Q-tips.
I don't think I want to work in a place where people like roll their windows down if they're using Q-tips for Lord knows what and just throw them on the ground.
Well, you do.
What is it? The 70s?
You do.
What the hell's going on?
Bad news. You do work at such a place.
It's driving on the highway 65 miles an hour. I got a little left in my soda from the fast food drive out the window. That was the 70s. Who gives an F about anything?
Throw a burrito.
It's
out the window.
Nothing matters. 2025? What are you doing? Throwing Q-tips out of your car.
Probably very surreptitiously.
This is
know that people who saw you do that would be like, well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
that's you call someone. What are you doing?
You're doing it surreptitiously. You're just like sort of slipped out of my hand as I'm walking and no one's around. So Q-tips. 8 of them between my car and yours right now.
Why is someone driving around with Q-tips? It just does not.
That's not the weirdest part. The weirdest part is not that you would want to use a Q-tip in your car. It's that you would dispose of it.
We disagree.
Way.
I think littering is way more commonplace than driving around with Q-tips in your car.
Okay.
I think that's almost in a blowout, the weird part. Like, you don't have time to use Q-tips in your bathroom at home? What are you doing? They're in the compartment of the console of your car? Oh, I need a Q-tip. What? I've never needed a Q-tip so badly that I would need to have them in my car. What are the things you have in your car?
Well,
the spare change, the AAA card, tools to change a tire. What? Q-tips? I don't get it.
And maybe, like yourself, I have never thrown anything out the window of my car that would belong in a garbage can. So still, you make a case to me, the fact that someone is just disposing them. Me to have taken up 4 pages in this notebook of mine, my trusty notebook, on
mock schedules,
on fake bill schedules. Whose idea was that? I mean, literally 4 pages are just used up by the bill schedule. No, this other one I didn't even really get anywhere because I made a mistake right away with having 3 home games together. But they do have that. A lot of teams, I haven't mentioned this with you yet, but the 3-game road trip / homestand, whichever, there's plenty of that on the NFL schedule. Mm-hmm. Anyway, can I blame you for this? I've got 4 pages taken up. It's getting late here for this notebook. Well, I really could use the space.
Can you just tear those pages out? I mean,
I would never.
That's not going to replace the pages. You would never.
No reason to. It doesn't erase them, like you said, right?
Right, but they're out of there. Like, if it's annoying you that they're there.
It's annoying me.
You have no use for them. You're I wouldn't think, ever really going to need to look at a mock bill schedule.
No, but there could be something useful on the other side.
Oh, I see. I didn't know.
I'm on the backs now.
I thought maybe you were. I apologize. I didn't understand the gravity of the situation. I thought.
I'm not sure you still do.
I thought you had 2 pages with 4 schedules, front, back, front, back.
No.
Tear those out. They're gone.
What I do is go all the way to the back using the fronts, and then come all the way back the other way using the backs, like a normal person would do.
This is the most insane.
Guess what day it is?
It's Mike Schopp.
Anybody?
Monday, Tuesday, hump day is halfway. It's Mike Schopp.
Mike. What day is it, Mike?
And the Bulldog.
Hey, guess what day it is? Oh, come on, I know you can hear me.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
Guess what today is?
It's hump day.
Woo-hoo!
on WGR
Hump Day.
Sports Radio 550.
By now, I should know that sidebar conversations should be taken care of prior to the show starting. I mean, the show starts at 3. You're here for the show. I don't know how interested really you are in the sidebar conversations, but I have been sort of just I don't know, multitasking, I guess maybe would be a way. I'm doing a few different things at once, and the show's beginning. The Open's playing, and I realized I haven't loaded up the refreshed YouTube stream page. Right, I have a page open there. It's got like a bunch of episodes of our shows, both the morning show and our show, and other content, clips of shows, different things. Right, and every day, as a part of getting ready for the show, I come in and I've left it on this show from yesterday, so I got to back out of that. Right, hit the back arrow, get to the menu again, and usually by about 3 o'clock or a little bit before, G's got the new page loaded. And I just click on that, and then anytime I want to dip in, see how the bullpen's doing. What's up, bullpen? Maybe even sign in and chat, although I very rarely do that. I just get distracted easily. Anyway, I usually do that before the show, but I did it just now, and so the screen was frozen on a still shot of Nate and myself. Nate Geary was in here yesterday with me, and the looks on both of our faces in the still shot was just it made me laugh out loud just like 10 seconds before I was supposed to start talking. So there's sidebar 1. Sidebar 2 involves Zach. Zach, how stressed out are you about having to read a story that contains the wording damaged disc? Are you okay in there?
I'm okay, yeah.
What was the word? Ruptured? What was the wording exactly? I don't remember. You're talking about Matthew Stafford.
Yeah, an aggravated disc.
Aggravated disc.
Yeah.
Just take your time all day. Just my advice. The people far more experienced than you have tripped up on that on even national TV.
Oh yeah,
much bigger venue than here our little old show on the Twitch and YouTube, and of course on WGR and the Odyssey app. Anyway, good afternoon, everyone. Just don't want you to have a moment. I am the Bulldog. Glad to be with you here. I had to get the stream up because I want to see how my new Wilco shirt looks on the feed. Although you can't really, all you're seeing is the original band of Chicagoland. The back has a bunch of Wilco stuff on it, but that's the bear, the original beef of Chicagoland. The Wilco's from Chicago. This is a little spin-off by my favorite band, so I needed to just check. I can close that up now. It's distracting, actually. I don't like looking at my big dumb red face. Here we are. The first episode of Hard Knocks is in the books, and I don't know how much conversation I should expect to get out of the fan base about it. Maybe a whole day's worth, maybe not even an opening 20-minute segment worth. I really don't know. I certainly enjoyed it. I'm a Bills fan as much as I am a Bills observer and member of the media and therefore critic. I enjoyed it. I don't know how anyone who likes the Bills or loves the Bills would not have thoroughly enjoyed that episode of Hard Knocks, because there was absolutely not one single negative thing in it. There was no adversity, no drama. I guess Max Hairston getting hurt is a negative, but even that was, I think, portrayed in the most positive light you could find, with his teammates being emotional about it and Christian Benford coming over to say some words and pray with him. But no mention of the James Cook situation. Maybe that's coming. I thought we might at least get because it happened late in the time frame for them to get it in the show. I think. I don't know how quickly they can insert stuff, and when their sort of cutoff for adding content would have been. I did hear from the premiere that was at the North Park Theater on Hurdle Avenue last night that one of the people involved in the production, I'm not going to name names or titles because I'm not sure who it was, said they had only finished the final edit of it a few hours earlier, even. So I thought that meant we'd get some reference to the James Cook hold-in, but that did not make the cut. Maybe that's coming in a future episode. I don't know. I'm not begging for negativity necessarily. I just think if you're looking for like an objective behind-the-scenes look at the team, I don't know how far Hard Knocks is going to go for that. If you're just looking for more reasons to love the team, and I'm not judging that at all harshly whatsoever by pointing it out. It just was, it looked like it could have been something made in-house by the Bills. Honestly, like that was what it came across as. And again, I've enjoyed their productions embedded behind the blue and red and whatever other titles they have is embedded. Maybe the Sabres thing. I don't know if they do that with the Bills. Either way, you know what I'm talking about. They have an arm of the organization that produces vignettes and like 30-minute to 45-minute episodes of the NFL draft and the NHL draft and here's our new player and whatever, that kind of stuff. And that all, I've consumed, I think, every second that they've produced of that, and I've liked it a lot. So comparing it to that is not either a criticism. It's merely to point out that there was, I don't think, anything that could have created any real drama last night. Now, again, it's the first episode. I don't know how many they'll run. Do you know offhand, Zach, how long? I am not a Hard Knocks consumer. At least not the summertime one. I watched every episode, probably weeks or months after they aired originally, of the Giants off-season one. So I'm familiar with that content, but a Hard Knocks season that is happening as training camp is unfolding and the preseason is beginning, that's not content that I am familiar with. So I don't know if they do 4 episodes, a half a dozen episodes. I wouldn't think it's much more than that.
It's 5 episodes.
5 episodes, right in the middle there. Okay, so there's time for them to sort of, fold in the Cook story. I thought when we saw Khalil Shakir shown talking with a teammate on the sidelines, I think about the fan base, or was it maybe about Mr. Brightside? I don't remember what it was, but there was a clip of Shakir sitting with a teammate on the bench at Friday's blue and red practice. Well, we're probably going to get some Mechie. He got hurt at that practice and is out for weeks. I saw a photo of him yesterday waiting in line at the ice cream place on not a scooter like KJ Hamler or any of the other dudes were riding around in the episode, but like you can't use your leg scooter. Like he has his leg, folded and resting on a scooter. So anyway, that didn't even get mentioned, and so it was a lot of confirming of priors. Not surprising that they would want to feature. I did mention yesterday and maybe the day before, you got an idea for like a bottom of the roster guy that may end up being featured. My pick for that almost sort of made it. I don't know if his name was mentioned. Did they mention Stephen Gosnell by name? They showed the highlight of him.
They did not mention him by name.
They didn't mention him by name. They showed the highlight of him catching that long pass from Josh Allen in a practice, I don't even know, middle of last week maybe it was. And then Joe Brady was making fun of how bad the spike was in the end zone. But they never said his name. And I that's not what I meant by featured, by the way. But like he's at least on the radar. Like he made a play. You had to really Zapruder film it to figure out what number is that guy? Because you're watching the show, and the show is showing you film of that day's practice, and there's this play, and then Joe Brady's making fun of the spike, which was pretty bad. I think he went to spike it hard, and I think he threw it almost. So he's got to work on that. But anyway. It was mostly confirming priors. Josh Allen is featured. He's awesome. The fans love him. His teammates love him. He's got a great personality. We know that. This confirms that. There was no question about it. But here it is. So again, as a Bills fan, as a Bills observer, as a Bills critic, I'm sitting back on, Josh Allen's awesome. I knew that, but this is cool. This is adding to it. Not that I really needed it added to, but fine. That's cool. Dion Dawkins, awesome personality, big personality, really cool dude. And you got a good amount of that on screen. Drifting. I didn't know that he had a garage with this customized drift car, custom painted snowmobile, drifting BMW that he was wheeling around in with his kids. I didn't know he was into that, but it's not surprising to me that he is. I go, okay, you've got disposable income. This is fun. I did see some comments from people watching the episode, either as it was happening or today, like, the kids in the car, is that okay? Like, do the Bills mind that he's out there doing it? The thing about the drifting is I was talking with Owen about this. He knows all about the drifting. Not really. He's just younger than me, is what it is. I'm familiar with it. I know about the movies and whatever, and I've seen it. And I know my old buddy from KISS, DJ Anthony, is often promoting events, I think, where Dawkins was showcasing his talents there. Those vehicles are not moving that fast. The idea is to burn rubber and be spinning your wheels the whole time. So I don't think like there's the risk of any kind of a high-speed collision or accident or anything. So as someone who, when his kids were 8 and 6 years old, used to take them for rides on the back of a Harley-Davidson motorcycle, I am not judging Dion Dawkins for having his kids. I would posit nothing even close to negative ever happened when I had my kids on the back of a motorcycle with me when they were that age. But I would say what Dawkins was doing last night in that drift car was probably safer than what I was doing with my kids. It's not to say everything should, maybe you object. I don't know. Just I'm not the one to raise my hand and say, what are you doing? Because, I realized that I was, riding around on a motorcycle with little kids on the back. Not often, not at any kind of high speed, no drifting. But anyway, like that was cool. Like Dawkins with his family, interacting. Again, confirming your priors. We all know, I think, that he's awesome. And he came off, go figure, as awesome, like a dude you'd want to have on your team, right? Same with Trey White. That story, I think, will be really interesting to follow as the episodes of this unfold. And frankly, even without Hard Knocks, I think following Trey White is going to be really interesting and maybe even emotional for fans. I would say this after watching. This is the value. I think the value, at least for the teams participating and for the players participating in this kind of a show that allows people who aren't around them on a day-to-day basis, like some in the media are. I'm not anymore. It's a long time since I've been at practices day to day during training camp. But guys like Sal and Matt Beauvais who do, I watch their podcast after the episode was over last night. It's always game day in Buffalo. They've been doing that a few years now. And some of their takeaways, I feel like were, not all of this is super interesting. We see some of it, right? Like for instance, the scooter stuff. You can like how it was presented, but that's how the players get around the campus because you're there, right? If you're not there, you never really see that. KJ Hamler was hilarious with that little the shot of him with the song playing, or is that Riding Dirty? Beauvais had the name on the podcast, and now I don't have it. Anyway, the clip. Was it not in slow motion of Hamler on the little kid scooter squatted way down low, wheeling past one of his teammates?
That was great.
That was the best shot of the whole show. I thought that was the peak moment for me of the show. Was
that shot and the hard cut to him going, I screwed up.
Yeah, right. But anyway, Trey White, I think, is such a compelling story. He is getting. And I don't think this is just, yay, Trey White is back, let's all like him again. I think he is performing at a level, even before Maxwell Harrison got hurt, that it was, I know I even saw a few people who cover practice and really go hard at watching and analyzing it. And like, Trey White's winning that job. Good luck getting him off it. He might not be what he was in 2019, but he's certainly way more than he was with the Rams and even the Ravens last year. He's healthy and he looks good, and we really like him. And he's running these hills after practice. Does that seem like a great idea, by the way? Like, we worry about these guys on stadium turf that is questionable. I don't know, tree root, anyone? Like, I'm worried about Trey White because I think I want to stop short of saying we all love him because that would be inappropriate. We don't really know him at a level where we should love him. But we really like him. We really admire him. I think rooting for him is about as close to taking precedence over the team's interests as I think you can get with a player and a fan base. And what I mean by that is, and this, I think to an extent happened the second time he got hurt, when he tore the Achilles after rehabbing the torn ACL and talking eventually very openly about how emotional that was, how hard physically and mentally draining the rehab process was. And that, I think, produced a connectivity and appreciation for that player, Tre'Davious White, that I think we as fans don't often think about. It's always about the team, right? Trey White gets hurt the first time against Detroit. And it's, oh my God, the Bills. No, it wasn't Detroit. It was Von Miller was Detroit. It was New Orleans. Sorry. I'm glad I caught that before anybody had to correct me. But Trey White gets hurt, and it's, of course, the obligatory, boy, that's really tough for him. But your thoughts, I think, speaking for myself, my thoughts are almost exclusively, what does this mean to the Buffalo Bills? What does this mean to the season? How bad off are they going to be if they don't have Tre'Davious White? Who's his replacement? Can they still win the Super Bowl? Like all sorts of team-related, team goal-oriented questions pop into your mind the first time he gets hurt. The second time he gets hurt, there's still that, but sort of running up alongside like a horse race, like a horse who's charging hard off of the last turn at the leader who's been maybe out front for the whole thing. And the leader in this case would be the team goals. What does it mean to the team that Tre'Davious White has just tore his Achilles? Coming up hard on your outside shoulder is, oh my God, I feel so horrible for this dude. He just went through this and talked about how mentally and physically taxing it was. And look at him. He threw his helmet. He knows this is a devastating injury. And oh my God, right? It's just, you can see the end of a player's career suddenly. And yes, that impacts the team and how much you care about the team's fortunes. But he's been humanized in a way for being open about that story, about how hard the rehab was in the first place, and that sort of creeps up on you. Now that he's back and he's healthy and you're seeing this personality again on display, the ice cream stuff, him interacting with Deion Dawkins' kids, and overall, Trey White he bursts off the screen as someone you want to root for. Oh my God, if something ever happens to him again. Like, it's going to be emotional, I think, for everyone, because you are going to feel like you know him now, even more on a level you really don't, but it's, that's the trick TV does on you. They let you in, however far they're comfortable letting you in. And as I said, Trey White was very open and honest a few years ago about the rehab process and how arduous it was for him. And that was a way of letting you in, not necessarily with cameras rolling, although I think there is video footage of that, but it wasn't a TV show. But this now, I feel like Trey White is someone, well, how do the non-old people say it? He must be protected at all costs. Like, I feel like Trey White has now elevated to a level where I don't know. Suddenly I'm being self-conscious about saying it because I don't want to sound like I'm predicting something's going to happen to him. But if something were to happen to him, I feel like most of us now are going to care as much, if not more, about him as a dude, as a person, than about what it means to the Bills. Because you're just seeing, he came along, the Bills got good. Like, it all just sort of flows together. So, I mean, that was really well done by the Hard Knocks folks, and credit to Trey White for being as open and awesome as he always is. But it just tripped a wire with me that, like, this dude, man, we're all rooting for the Bills, and so if he's really good, if was going to win that job anyways, then, go Trey White. But I'm like as much on Team Tre'Davious White as I am on Team Buffalo Bills right now, I guess what I'm saying. And I'll bet I've got company because of the way that story, even in just one little few minutes of that episode, was portrayed, and what we all know about the backstory and his history with this team and how last year went for him. I just feel like fans are going to be even more attached to him in a way that, I don't know, maybe even me saying this is a way of it dawning on you. Because it's not a normal thought process, I think. Like I said, like most normal fans, me, most of my life. Mike and I addressed this a couple of weeks ago. We said, as you get older, maybe once you have children, the guys getting hurt, it's framed differently. You think about it differently than you did when you were 20 years younger, say. And so I think that might be sneaking up on a lot of people with Tre'Davious White, which is, fine. It's awesome. So there's just some of the takeaways. I don't know if anybody's got anything that they want to present about the show, something that you really liked from the show. I'm all ears here, man. I'd love to talk about it. I think a lot of Bills fans are amongst themselves today on social media, wherever they work, if they're together with friends and fellow Bills fans, are talking about the show. Did you see the show? What did you think of the show? What do you think of this? What do you think of that? We want to be that conversation. I want to be that conversation for you today. Maybe even to flatter ourselves the hub of that conversation, if that's possible. 803-0550 is the phone number if you want to get in with anything that you observed from last night's debut of the Bills Hard Knocks series. We got to wait until next Tuesday now for another one? Well, these streaming people, they got you right away when they started to, here's a whole season, here's 12 episodes of some show, come on in and you'll like it. The Bear, I referenced The Bear. This t-shirt I'm wearing is a Bear-inspired Wilco t-shirt. The Bear showed up, and it was only, each episode was a half an hour or even less. There might have been one long one in there that first season, but they were all there right away, and it was like, a day and a half or 2 days worth of watching, and like, bam, I just watched season 1 of The Bear. The Hard Knocks, they're gonna make us want it a little bit. We're gonna have to wait until next Tuesday for episode 2, and we'll see what that brings. There was one thing that I will admit terrified me about the episode, which I have intentionally held back until the next segment, and I will share that with you as we continue. But 803-0550 is the number. Guest-wise today, Sal Capaccio at 4. The Bills were back on the practice field today. No James Cook sighting even, like not even in sweatpants or street clothes, just not around. The hold-in continues. Third practice now that he's missed, fourth day of the hold-in. It began Sunday. So one thing that terrified me. So Sal, coming up at 4. Our buddy Mike Tenier on the NFL will join me at 5 as well. So we've got that to look forward to. But in between, really, let's hang out and talk about Hard Knocks. I'm cool with that. I'll get you the thing that scared the ever-living you-know-what out of me watching the show last night as we continue. 803-0550 is the number. I am the Bulldog. Mike Schopp has been away this week along with Zach Jones. You're listening to WGR.
dancing so long, all the feels are gone. Fella stopped me on the street last night, said everything's alright. Roller coaster, make it through the day upright. It seems your meal ticket is gone, but life goes on. I could never imagine something better. Yeah, right. Now you're cooking on high heat in the middle of the street. Roller coaster, take me to a better time. Let's go. All sing your high line with the roller coaster of life. Yeah. It's time to all choose your timeline on the roller coaster of life.
Because there's a buyer beware on this guy's health. And, hang on. Zach is raising his hand.
We do have one more trade, or at least appears one more trade. Not the Sabres, but it's within the division. Brad Marchand appears to be going to Florida.
Oh, my God.
We're waiting for the pending trade call, but it looks like Marchand's going to Florida.
Wow. That's massive. That is massive. Man, if that comes through, that is that goes right up to the top of the list with the Rantanen trade from Carolina to Dallas and the big extension that he signed. Okay, so we'll keep our eyeballs on that.
You seem to easily forget how to place your bet. When everyday life gets you down, you gotta steal the crown. Got to own it. Don't bitch and moan about it, please. God forbid you scrape your knees, and it's nothing to sneeze at. Oh, I've told you over and over again. You gotta get both hands around it and make your own plans. Roller coaster, it's taking over. It's about time. To all choose your timeline with the roller coaster of life. Roller coaster. I want to go down the rabbit hole, down the rabbit hole of life. And now it's about to leave. Oh, roller coaster.
Like when we went to the ice cream spot, and I really was chilling. You know, sometimes I don't know. He was all over the place, like hitting everybody's face, like Trade Day Sunday. You know what I'm saying? it's like, I'm not doing that. Like, I don't have that in me to do that. I got his back to back him up. Like, yo, yeah, this Trade Day Sunday really good. Try this. Like, let's eat it together. Boom, boom, boom. Behind his back. And while he's in everybody's face, like, yo, Trade Day Sunday, Trade Day Sunday. And it's like, I'm not doing that. But he is. And this other stuff that he's not doing, that I am. So it's like it's a good component to one another. You know what I'm saying?
That is Christian Benford, fellow corner, top corner on the team now the top corner on the team, something Trey White was when Christian Benford first showed up a few years back, talking about some of last night's Hard Knocks episode, and the ice cream joint was quite a scene. I've never been. I missed out. I mean, it just looked. Everybody, the reporters every year rave about a few different things, and that spot is one of them that constantly gets mentioned by everybody who's on the beat. So good. I'm glad for them. Glad for the place that it got featured like that on Hard Knocks, and what was certainly one of the highlights there. Trey White running around insisting people try his brownie hot fudge sundae. 803-0550. Yes, that's a real sentence I just said on the sports radio show. 803-0550 is the phone number. I am the Bulldog. Mike has been off for a few days. He'll be off for the rest of the week. We'll be back together. I know you can't wait. Monday we'll be back together. I'll get you my thing that scared me from the Hard Knocks episode as we go, but let's fire up some phone calls. Steve is first up this segment. Hi, Steve. Thank you for calling. You're on the air here on WGR.
What's up, Bulldog? Thanks, man. I love the show.
Thank you.
I've always loved just commentary from the gum chewing public. I've always liked Trey White's personality, if you will. I think back to that Cincinnati game, with the DeMar Hamlin incident. One of the pictures that always sticks out in my mind is him being comforted by Mitch Morse. Mm-hmm. Just a really authentic picture.
I agree. That's one of the most powerful images from the whole night.
Absolutely. And then the other thing is, I'm a huge fan of our coach. Like, I know we haven't been able to necessarily get it done in the playoffs, but I think he should get more credit. And I hope there's a feature episode on Hard Knocks where he's sort of shown, and it shows some of his history here in building a team. Because I don't know, it's just one of my favorite parts of the Bills as the coach, honestly.
Yeah, I'm with you almost entirely, Steve. I don't know. Again, I'm not. I don't know, am I telling on myself? I've made it this far without ever really investing any time or energy in the Hard Knocks thing. Many of the years that the show's been running, I was not an HBO subscriber, so that's that. And it was never enough to me to get me to pull the trigger on an HBO subscription. So I'm just not that familiar with the content. Mostly, I would say how I have seen it would be the clips that go viral from it that make their way onto social media, and I get exposed to it that way. And so I mostly felt like anything that really is important that happens with, who was it? The Bears last year. The Jets had the famous time when Rex was there, and let's go get some snacks and all that. Anything 7-Eleven, right? Anything that's going to happen on a show like that, I feel like that matters. I'm going to end up seeing without sitting down and watching it for an hour. So, lazy, that's an excuse. I'm cheap. Yeah, all of those could apply to some degree, but I've just never really sat and watched. So I'm going a long way to say, I don't know about like a feature episode, but I would expect to see a lot more of McDermott. And yes, maybe 10 minutes of an episode on the backstory and what it was when he got here and what it is now and what they've built and, what his core principles are and things like that. I would bet that comes across at some point in some way. It might not be, again, in one neat little tidy package in one episode. It may be interspersed over the next, what did you say? There's 5 total, so we're one in, so we got 4 more to go. Over the next 4 episodes, maybe we'll get a little more of that. I frankly was expecting more from the welcome to training camp, here's how we do this speech that he gave, but that was a pretty short snippet. I would bet we'll get more of what you're asking for there. So, yeah, no, that's all. I responded. There wasn't anything else there, I don't think, right? John is next up. Hi, John. Thanks for calling. You're on the air here on WGR.
Hey, Bulldog. I just kind of want to say I thought the Bills were boring as heck, but in a good way, which makes me very encouraged for the season. that there wasn't one guy on the roster who really stood out as like a real eccentric anything. They all just seemed like good guys. They keep saying I love you to each other. I mean, basically what I got out of the episode is that Josh Allen's awesome, that he's, really he's the end-all, be-all of the team, that everybody kind of loves him, and they all respect the heck out of him. And you know what? That's awesome. I think that's great. And, even Trey White, even his Sunday was boring. I don't think it was even a brownie. I think it was a cookie.
Oh, you're right. It was. Yeah, because he asked about chocolate chip cookies when he walked in there. You're right. Thank you.
Right.
Boy, I gotta get this stuff right if I'm going to have any credibility. I mean, I just can't. I can't be making these mistakes.
I wish it was a brownie. Brownies are better than cookies any day of the week. I don't know, Bulldog. I felt good about the Bills. Yep. I think that they're boring in a good way. They don't have any divas, it doesn't seem like. I don't know. I loved it, and I was thrilled, and I can't wait till next week.
All right, John, appreciate that. Thank you for catching my mistake on the brownie v. chocolate chip cookie controversy. Let me try to make that as much as I can. You know what, though? Here's the thing. I mean, I agree with the overall sentiment. What do we want? We want the team to be, not that interesting. No drama, right? They can be interesting. Like, to me, I don't think there's anything boring about Deion Dawkins. And that is a big personality. Maybe he is like the very definition of this team wants you to be who you are. All right. I mean, he is leaning into who he is. I mean, he's a big dude, and there's a big personality there, and he's doing lots of big stuff, and he's great in the community, and we really, really appreciate that. The thing about the boring, like that they're boring. I heard a lot of mature. They look mature. They sound mature. And look, I agree with that. The presentation of the show is what makes them boring. Like they skipped out. Like there was no James Cook. There wasn't even a mention as like, here comes Josh Allen walking into his dorm room like everybody else, right? The MVP quarterback's got to stay in this crummy cell of a dorm room like everybody else. There's no mention of there being a question about James Cook's status. Is he going to report? Is he going to be on the field? There was a couple of shots of him, playing, but I don't think his name was even mentioned. So they went out of their way to make the Bills boring. Now, I would predict that will change. I think, again, maybe the timing of Cook turning this into a hold-in was too late. Maybe they had something prepared about how he is reported and is practicing and that there was some drama around that, but kicked that to the curb before the final edits because once they knew he was holding in, they didn't have any video or anything to really put that together on the show and present it in a way that they'd want to, but they had to maybe ditch what if they had built any drama around his reporting and participating at the start of camp, maybe they had to ditch it. I don't know. But there's stuff that isn't, I don't know. There's stuff that isn't boring. The Cook situation is not boring, I don't think. Khalil Shakir being week to week with a high ankle sprain, far and away their leading pass catcher last year. I mean, by like more than 30 catches, he's their leading pass catcher. That isn't even mentioned. And that happened on Friday night, and there was video from Friday night. So I think whether the Bills are controlling that, because Sal has said many times, quite plainly, they have editorial control. I don't know if they have absolute, like, all-encompassing editorial control, like whether, they would, all right, of these three things, only one of them is going to make it in. Let's pick which one. Like, I don't know to what extent their reach, how far their reach is editorially, but it does, I think, probably hinder what HBO might want to present. So that's why I said it came off to me. And again, I'm not judging this harshly because I like and have admired a lot of the work, almost all of the work that the Pagula Sports and Entertainment arm of the company has produced on both the Bills and Sabres. But this show, despite it being under the HBO umbrella and the Hard Knocks brand, came off very much like a thing that the Bills would have made themselves. And again, that's fine, but it's boring by design. I think, I wouldn't say that there isn't, at least some tremors in the organization about the James Cook situation and concern about Khalil Shakir's ankle. It's just none of that. If it was going to be featured, it didn't make the final cut. So I'm not sure it's representative of how exactly buttoned up and boring the Bills are in reality. Bob is next up this segment. Hi, Bob. Thank you for calling. You're on WGR.
Hi, Bulldog. I just want to say I thought it was really neat when they talked to Josh Allen and Jerry Pagula in the new stadium. And the way they just talked, the way the owner was, so much part of it, the way he said, to Josh, how many times have you been here? Josh says twice. And he said, how about you 5 times? And the way they described he goes, how does the win thing work? And the way Pagula explained it, it just was nice to see, your quarterback, your owner, a lot of respect there. And I thought that was really exciting because you like to see that. I think that shows a lot to other cities that, you know what I mean?
I hear that. Yeah, I like that point. I would say I think Pagula came off maybe as well as he has in a long time. I'd at least have to say that. And that, that might sound like faint praise, and frankly, maybe it is. Because I don't think he's always presented well when he's on camera and talking. There have been some hiccups along the way. I think there's a reason why he doesn't do a lot of that stuff. But that's a more controlled environment, and again, they've got editorial control. I thought, and I don't, look, I don't know how the wind technology stuff works either, and I'm sure Pagula knows a lot more about it than me, but what struck me about how he was talking about that was if you've ever gone house hunting, you got to look at houses, and the realtor is trying to describe to you some feature of the house, but they don't quite have it, right? And you're sort of left going, I'm going to really want to find out what that means. What exactly how does this hybrid home heating system work exactly? What am I doing here? What's in the ground? How? Just the way he laid that out, I just felt like I would want to have another meeting about this myself, to find out what really is going on there. It sounds really promising. There's no question about that. Wind being minimized. Hearing one of the I'm not sure of the names of everyone here, but one of the people that was leading that tour talking about how they've been in there when the wind has been howling outside and it's completely still on the floor of the stadium. That is encouraging. I just thought Pagula talking about it was just sort of he read a Cliff Notes version of what exactly is going on there, and just sort of tried to get through it. But that was just me. I have not mentioned what terrified me. I will do that next. We got to take a break. 803-0550 is the number. If you want to get in, reactions to Hard Knocks. Sale coming up in about 20 minutes. Our buddy Mike Tanier on the Bills and the NFL coming up at 5. Mike is away this week. I'm the Bulldog, and you're listening to WGR. Folks, it's Bulldog here, and we had
feel too.
Look, man, I'm just going to lay it right on you here because we only got a few minutes before we're going to hit the top of the hour break. Snakes freak me out completely in every possible context ever. Snakes freak me out so badly that I'm almost willing to admit that I'm afraid of worms. Okay, like I just, we're going to go fishing. Let's get some bait. Oh! Oh, yeah, we get some of these little rubber guys from the Walmart or something. I don't need to, no. How about some minnows? I'd rather stab a minnow in the eye than reach into a little takeout container through some dirt to grab a worm. No. They wrap around your fingers. It's gross. Not a fan of snakes. And to, like, go AJ Epinesa in the Everglades, like, hunting snakes, basically. He's got a dog.
I think that's exactly
He's got
what
a
that was,
dog
yeah.
finding snake. the poor dog.
Yeah, right. Like, unsurprising. Dogs have been used in hunting. I get it, the whole thing. Hunting snakes, though? That's its job? What do you mean?
I'm learning. I'm learning with everyone else out there. I don't know. Those of you that are well versed in this hunting snakes culture, you're all up to speed. Me, I'm just like, whoa. Yeah, that's a no for me, dog. Like, I don't know where it started. I think I have some recollection. I'm 60, so I grew up in a house where we had, we didn't have the internet because it hadn't been invented. And so we didn't have a ton of books. I don't really remember either of my parents being voracious readers. They would read the newspaper. I'm sure they did read books over the years that I just don't remember, but it's not like we had like a library in our house and just loads and loads of books. But there was a bookshelf in the living room, dining room. There was a bookshelf. And primarily what I remember being on the bookshelf was sets of encyclopedias, like maybe 2 or 3 different sets of encyclopedias. I don't remember them ever not being there, so I don't remember how they were acquired. I might guess that either my mother or my father or both bought them from a guy that rang the doorbell and said, I'm trying to sell encyclopedias, because that, again, kids, is a thing that used to happen. People used to come to your house and try to sell you vacuum cleaners. This used to happen. There used to be a man or a woman who would bring milk to your house. I'm old, okay? So we had encyclopedias, and I remember flipping through the S or the RST, I don't remember, whatever. I remember flipping, and like a picture of a snake, suddenly like full color picture of a snake on a page, scaring the ever living crap out of like 4 or 5-year-old me. And then one of the first times I ever went to the Buffalo Zoo, walking around in that, the reptile house there, and like standing at the window of a display, and you're looking like, oh, I don't see anything. I'm looking and then suddenly like it catches your eye and there's the snake staring right at you. Yeah. I think that's probably the genesis of my snake phobia, but it's full blown. I am an absolute run away so fast that I would run into a tree if I see a snake. Mm-hmm, yep. Like, that is me. Like, there is one exception to this where I bravely scooped up a little kid when we found that creekside we were at in North Carolina. There were a bunch of snakes there, and I think the word copperhead was said, and I just scooped up at the time my friend's 3 or 4-year-old daughter, and like, okay, we're out of here. And we just like booked it to the up out of the creek bed. That was one time I did not just run headlong into a tree because we saw snakes. But other than that, every other time, like I would run across an interstate if I saw a snake without even looking at the trucks. Like, that's me with snakes. So AJ Epinesa, I admire you. I think you're insane. I can't even bring myself to say good job hunting snakes, because I can't think of something I would want to hunt less. There is no thing in the animal kingdom I am more scared of than snakes. No, that's the truth. I mean, I realize like a lion, right in front of me would be like, I would die. Whereas the snake maybe wouldn't kill me, but I don't know, a lion, I mean, maybe it's nice. Maybe it just wants me to pet it. Snake, just like, nope.
Yeah, snakes give off bad vibes.
Gotta go.
From the start.
Snake, nope. Whew. We'll take a timeout. Sal Capaccio straight ahead with the rundown on, his takeaways from Hard Knocks, of course, and, of course, the Bills were on the practice field today, so we'll touch on all of that and more when Sal joins me next here on WGR.
The Buffalo Bills got back to work today over at St. John Fisher University. We'll get more on what we saw today as Sal Capaccio will join the show next. But before practice, the team did announce the signing of linebacker Jimmy Charlo. And with that, they have waived linebacker Balin Spector. Coverage of Bills training camp from St. John Fisher University is brought to you by Figo Car and Joyce, your border attorneys. By Outlet Liquor, when you need to stock up, it's the place to buy a case. What's your outlet? By Connors and Ferris, your workers' comp attorneys. And driven by your Upstate Honda dealers for great deals on the entire Honda lineup. It's your Upstate Honda dealer today. Plenty of news around the NFL. The Browns did confirm today Shedeur Sanders is going to get the start at quarterback Friday against the Carolina Panthers. Speaking of the Panthers, cornerback J.C. Horn missed practice today after being in a car accident yesterday. Good news, though, on that front. No one involved was transported by emergency medical personnel. And then Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford. He is dealing with an aggravated disc in his back, and he has been receiving an epidural to help deal with it. He is considered week to week, with the hope being he'll be ready for week 1. And then in baseball, Bison's on the road versus the Woo Sox. First pitch scheduled for 6:45, and that game can be heard on our sister station, the Bet 1520. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
Fresh off the practice field. No, that doesn't work. Practice ended hours ago. Sal Capaccio joins us from Rochester. That's better. Site of Bills training camp, St. John Fisher University. Sal's on the Wester hotline. Fresh off of, dude, you are just grinding out the content. I watched Hard Knocks. It was, listen, my son Owen wanted to watch it too, but he gets up and leaves the house at 4:30 in the morning to come here to do the video content producing for the morning show. So he's someone who goes to bed pretty early. I get up in the summer to either go outside and ride my bike or go golf at 5:30 in the morning. Making it to 9 o'clock took some doing. I'm just saying. But you get done with that, and then it's an hour of podcast, video casting with Matt Beauvais. It's always game day in Buffalo. I did watch your episode this morning because I was curious. I watched it. I had my own thoughts, but I wanted to hear some more. So I watched that, and you just you never stop, Capaccio.
I appreciate that. It is a grind. It's that time of year where we have a lot going on and we got to bring the content to the people, and that's what I'm here for, right? I mean, I try to really bring everybody as much information about the Buffalo Bills as they can. And you're honestly, like today, it happens every day, but I walk through St. John Fisher, I walk through the parking lots or near the stands, and I can't tell you how many Bills fans come up and just say, hey, thanks for the content, thanks for the information, and that just really makes you feel good. You know what I mean? Makes you feel valuable to what you're doing and putting it out there, right? And I love my job. You know that. I think we all we work in sports and we talk about sports, and you've been doing it for almost 3 decades now, right? I think.
This is going to be my 30th Bills season.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Congrats. And
thanks.
You wouldn't do that if you didn't, love it. And I do this because I love it. And last night, I was super interested in watching Hard Knocks, but I know a lot of people want to talk about it. I always say, I can talk about the Bills every day. That's fine. I can talk about sports every day. The average person doesn't maybe get to do that. Maybe their outlet is listening to me. Maybe their outlet is talking to me. And I like to be there for that. So Matt and I had this idea. We were going to do a reaction show anyway, and I said, actually, why don't we do it live? Everybody's right there. They're on edge. They got their thoughts right there. Mm-hmm. Let's just put it out live. So we did. And we did the episode live. And Bulldog, we had over 8,000 viewers last night. It was unbelievable.
I didn't know how high the number got. I know it got into the 5,000s at one point while I was watching, and then I lost track. But, yeah, that's great.
Pretty cool, man.
Yeah. So, I mean, I spent the first hour here talking about it. I certainly, any Bills fan, it would have liked the show, and I certainly am enough of a Bills fan still, even though I've been in the media all this time, to really enjoy and appreciate the show. But it felt like something that the Bills could have produced themselves mostly. There was nothing, and I don't know, and again, that's not I don't mean that to come off as negative. I feel like Beauvais watching your video cast there talking about it was kind of in that sort of boat where it's just like I didn't get anything that maybe we don't. It's confirming priors. Deion Dawkins is awesome and has a monstrously huge personality, and you're gonna love him. And of course, right? Tre'Davious White. Everything that was presented is stuff I think mostly. Although I didn't know that Deion Dawkins had this hobby, and the custom car and the drifting and all that. So, I did learn stuff, but I had a guy at the end of last hour who said, I think they came off as boring, and I mean that in a good way, right? There's not any drama there. And I said, well, sure, but they chose to not mention Khalil Shakir's week-to-week high ankle sprain, even though they showed him Friday at practice, and there was footage from Friday's practice, and that's when that injury occurred. And there was no mention of the James Cook situation, and maybe the timing of that is why. But you could have even mentioned something about there being a question about him showing up or participating at the beginning of camp, and they didn't. So I think some of the boring was by choice.
Agreed. And I've said it. You just mentioned a little while ago. I was listening. The Bills do have, I think, pretty much total editorial control. Okay. Really, but it's a back and forth, right? I don't think you want to be, we're not doing this, you're not doing that. I think, when you work with NFL Films, you work with HBO and Hard Knocks, you can do that and say, hey, this is what we really want. And you kind of work together on all that. There's nothing wrong with that. So I think that's exactly what's happening. And yeah, the Bills aren't going to want to be painted in any sort of light that is, portraying them in a negative way. And honestly, I don't think anybody in Hard Knocks is trying to do that. It's not a gotcha show. Maybe, back in the day, there was a little bit more of that, right? When it was kind of fresh and new and we're all learning about the inside look at the NFL. And this is what it's really like for all these football players and these meetings and the coaches and all that kind of stuff. So that's true. But I thought last night was, very much kind of like an embedded series, right? Here is a great look at the Buffalo Bills off the field. I think if every episode goes like last night, it would be considered an unbelievably wild, successful series for the Buffalo Bills. They would love it. Be like, yep, that's exactly what we were looking for. So no problem there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. But I wonder if HBO or even football fans who aren't Bills fans would be like, thanks for the 5 episodes of an infomercial about how awesome the Bills are, because that's how that could come off eventually. Like if I'm watching that show and it's about, I don't know, the Dallas Cowboys, and they're not telling me about Micah Parsons, and they're not telling me about any of the stuff, and it's just all, how awesome everyone is, I'd be, I don't know, to some extent, I'm going to roll my eyes at some point. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think that at some point you're going to probably get a little bit of consternation or something. There's got to be something about James Cook, right? You talked about how they didn't show it, and I do think it had to do with the timing, maybe, of the James Cook situation. Really, the last thing we saw was them practicing in Highmark Stadium, right? And then the James Cook situation happened after that.
Right.
He practiced at Highmark Stadium. So maybe that. I didn't know. I stepped around. There was no teaser for next week.
I know. That was what I got. We got done watching it, and Owen and I looked at one another. It's whatever. It's 10 o'clock. Like, all right, I'm ready for bed. I just turned it off right away. And by the time I got upstairs to go to bed, I went back into the app on my iPad and watched the final sequence again in the credits because I thought maybe there'd be next week, but there was no trailer. I'm sure there will be one at some point here in the next few days once they have in mind exactly what they're doing because they have another week to come up with the next episode. But I thought there might be a little teaser, and that's where we'd see Cook and Shakir, rolling around on a little scooter because his ankle's hurt or whatever. But yeah, there wasn't even that. So, yeah. But again, like your podcast co-host was trying to intimate, like I'm not mad about it. I'm just objectively pointing out, like it was. There's no way any Bills fan would have walked away from that thinking anything other than, man, my team is awesome. And like they love Josh Allen and like everything's good here. And again, there's nothing negative about that. It just, there was no presentation of any conflict or anything that could be perceived as a problem.
And even the Max Hairston injury was kind of like, hey, there was just this quick bit about it. They obviously showed how his teammates reacted, which I think was, something that they wanted to make sure to show, like, the love of the teammates. what they feel about him. There wasn't much about that. So I'm interested in next week about, about James Cook specifically and his contract situation and how all that plays out. But two things for you. Number one, I don't know if you noticed, I'm on video now. I'm saying hi to you. I'm on we opened up. I said, you know what? I got a message over to Zach and G, and I said, hey, I'm in my dorm, and I haven't been on video through to say hi to the bullpen and let them see what's going on over here. It's really kind of boring. It's a cinder block dorm. It's Dorsey Hall, but you know the way it is. You've been here before, so I want to say give that experience for everybody. But I did follow up on our conversation yesterday. I made sure to pay attention. The Hard Knocks crew does film all the 11 on 11. They do get to film everything. And it makes sense, right? They're showing highlights that you normally wouldn't see. But I wanted to make sure because I hadn't really noticed in past practices. But, yes, they are basically filming everything all the time.
Right. On Tre'Davious White, I don't know if you heard me talking about him earlier, and I hope it made sense what I was saying. If you did hear it, you can hopefully tell me that it made sense. I feel like he has become a player now that he's back here, and there are now, I think thinking back to when he was signed, it was like, break glass in case of emergency. If the rookie if you don't get the right guy in the draft, at least you've got some insurance, a guy that knows the system, not high expectations. I think that's changed through 2 weeks of training camp to some extent for the fan base, hearing and seeing themselves how well he's performing and hearing him talk about how healthy he feels and how he was able to train and all that. And there might be some sort of rekindling of, we've got vintage Trey White back here at this point. I feel like with the way his backstory, most of us already know it anyway from when he was here and he got hurt twice in devastating fashion. And now that he's being presented on this show the way that he is, and just naturally that personality is coming out, I feel like he has become a guy that if anything were to happen to him, I think a lot of us, our first thoughts will now be, oh my God, poor Trey White, instead of, oh no, what are the Bills going to do?
Yeah, I really like that. His personality, if you've covered him when he's here as a reporter or been in this business, we've gotten to know him a little bit, some more than others, and you understood what kind of personality he is. Now, look, Bills fans themselves, the Trey White Goalie Academy, the gregarious personality, the fun-loving Trey, I think you got a glimpse of that. But there was a lot of stuff underneath about Tre'Davious White just as a human being and what he's all about and his family. And we've seen him, grow with children here, and he had his children here while he's in Buffalo. And you've seen all that, him come from a young man to a man. And then he goes off. He has the injuries, obviously, and we saw and we heard and we were there when he talked to us a couple years ago about how devastating that was for him when he's trying to come back, and then they released him, obviously. I think that this show does two things. Number one, it brings all of that out for everybody even more so than they've already known, which is really cool. But I think number two, it's actually showing what we've been saying for a while, which is he's looked pretty good, Bulldog. Like, he's looked like Tre'Davious White, who could start in the NFL and play on the Buffalo Bills and be a really key component. Oh, by the way, he's going to pretty much have to now, but we'll go back to the first day of camp. Go back to really OTAs and minicamp. I remember OTAs and minicamp. I said, boy, he looks fresh. His change of direction is great. I need to see him just kind of be a little bit more sticky down the field. That'll probably come. But right now he's just working on getting back to where he needs to get. And then we get here to camp, and when I would join you guys, I'd say, man, like Trey, he's looking good. He's making plays. And if you watched last night, I think you saw, like, he has that confidence and respect from his team, from his organization, that he is a qualified player to be a starter right now in this defense, right? This is not just, it's Trey White and we're going to put him in. This is not, it's a feel-good story. Like, he's earning this spot. And I think he earned the spot anyway, even if Max Hairston doesn't get hurt. Maybe for how long, I don't know. Right. But the way he's playing, he just would have been out on the field until it didn't continue to happen like that.
I feel like that is how it was starting to sound right before Hairston got hurt, and I don't think I'm misremembering that. I feel like there was early enough on where some people observing practice like you are like, he's winning this job. Like, the rookie's in tough, so now that Hairston's hurt, obviously now we're all thinking, we got to count on him even more. But so far, so good. Sal Capaccio on the West Her Hotline with us from St. John Fisher University. The Bills were, let's leave Hard Knocks over there for now. Back on the practice field today. If we have time, maybe I'll revisit a couple of different things that I've already brought up and get your reaction to them. But what was the story today as far as practice goes?
Well, I think the story was really roster moves today. Bale Inspector is no longer a member of the Buffalo Bills in most ways. He actually, I'll explain what happened. Bale Inspector, the large picture is for everyone that the Bills waived injured. They released Bale Inspector, the linebacker. And how many times have we talked about his availability issues? He just can't stay on the field. And look, he was having a good training camp, I thought, as far as fighting Joey Andreessen. But we had many conversations here of me saying, if it comes down to it, how much can you really trust him to be available, even if he does, even sort of beat out Andreessen just by a little bit, because I thought Andreessen still had a great opportunity to win that job, even if both are healthy. He was fighting for it, and that's not going to happen anymore. He has played, I looked it up, Bulldog, out of 50 possible regular season games, he's played 26. Now, some of that was being a healthy scratch his rookie year, but he's been on injured reserve 3 times over the last 2 seasons, and then he got hurt again on Monday, and now the team has released him. So what does it mean? Waived injured. So because he is less than 4 years in the league, he gets waived. Any team can claim him, but they put an injury designation so everybody knows he's hurt. Like, you can claim him, but he's hurt. Everybody has to know that. He might fail your physical, but you can still claim him. If he does not get claimed in 24 hours, he reverts back to the Bills. Then the Bills can either put him on injured reserve for the season, or they can give him an injury settlement right away or put him on IR and then later give him an injury settlement, whatever. So he could still wind up being on the Bills in some capacity. That's number one. Number two, they get Dorian Williams back, which is obviously a really big deal. The linebacking core, starting to come together. But even more so, kind of buried here, is Terrell Bernard is back taking 11 on 11 reps. Like, he wasn't doing that even on Monday when he returned, but now he was back there. So now you have, I think, your linebacking core where you need it and where you want it set, which is Milano at will and Terrell Bernard at Mike, and then behind them is Dorian Williams at will and Joe Andreessen at Mike. Shaq Thompson's still working back. I think that he factors in this and he could get a job. I just don't I haven't seen Eddie Ulofoshio flash enough. I mean, at this point, I don't know if he's going to make the team. And then I would tell you that Matt Milano still looks incredible out here. He made a play today. There was a jet sweep to Elijah Moore, and Matt Milano got to that spot to tackle him like he was shot out of a cannon, and he couldn't even turn the corner. Like, he saw it, he diagnosed it, and he got there, right? That's Matt Milano. So that was great. A little bit later, a couple really nice plays on offense. Dalton Kincaid shined today. Today was a Dalton Kincaid day. One time down the seam, catches it, runs past defenders for a touchdown. Another time, the Bills actually tweeted this video out if you take a look at it. Coming into the corner, perfectly placed ball, catches it with his hands, gets into the corner. So that was a Dalton Kincaid day. Defensively, a couple really nice plays today. A couple underlying guys making interceptions. You had one from Dorian Strong and one from Keontae Jenkins. So, yeah, a couple of guys that made plays. I think Josh threw the one that Jenkins had, and I think Trubisky threw the one that Strong had, if I remember correctly.
We're going to make all of that your best of training camp today, if that's okay with you. Best of training camp during Sal's Daily segment with us here on our show is brought to you by Northtown Automotive. Get a Northtown Engine Shield engine protection warranty on new and used vehicles. Did the injury list shrink? You mentioned Dorian Williams back. Bernard's taken 11 on 11. Spencer Brown's been getting some work.
Yeah, that's
back
good news.
right?
Big news today too.
So, right,
he did teamwork today for the first time.
Okay, right. So I don't know. Maybe I heard McDermott on with Jeremy and Joe this morning say, like, maybe it's starting to. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but it felt like there was maybe some optimism about the list shrinking somewhat. But there still are a lot of guys that are probably in big question to play on Saturday, right?
Yeah, I would think so. We don't know what their plan is for Saturday. Just to run through a few more. Deion Walker had an illness. He actually was on the field today. Taron Johnson had a vet rest day. He was back today. And Dane Jackson had a personal excused absence. He was back today. I mean, that's 4 guys you get back who weren't practicing at all. Then you obviously lose Spector, but they did sign this young man who was the captain at Army, Jimmy Charlo. He comes in. He's going to wear 35 as a linebacker, Bulldog. How do you feel about that? He's wearing 35 as a linebacker.
That's a tough one. That feels like I don't want to say what I just thought. It's so that feels like you're not making the team number.
Yeah, and I'm sure he probably realizes and figures that, right? He's only getting here late in the process, and he's playing linebacker, but at least it's an opportunity. A lot of times these guys, their opportunities just show us what you can do for a couple of weeks. Maybe we'll keep you on the practice squad because we like your potential and what you can do maybe to help out the offense on a scout team or something like that. But Yes. Otherwise, you're still waiting on Curtis Samuel to come back. You're still waiting on Cedric Van Pran Granger, Alec Anderson. Oh, that was the other thing. Khalil Shakir, we did see for the first time today since his injury. He had a walking boot on, but he was doing exercises with the trainers. Wasn't running. He had a walking boot on. He was doing like medicine ball and stuff, upper body stuff with the trainer. It's him, Alec Anderson, and Cedric Van Pran Granger were all there. And I guess we've gone this far without mentioning it, but James Cook was not to be seen at all today. We did not see him anywhere.
Did you take the sign? They signed a lineman yesterday. Was it Dan Feeney? A lot of experience in the league. Some starts, a lot of starts at center. I think more at guard. But I wondered if that was not a bad sign for Van Pran Granger's availability.
I would say there is a game coming up. You need bodies. You need preseason bodies, and I think because they're down in 2 interior guys. That's not only Van Pran Granger, but it's also Alec Anderson. You got to have guys to play, right? You got to put guys in there. This is kind of like, remember last year when they signed, who was the Brown, the quarterback, and Ben DiNucci, right? Anthony Brown and Ben DiNucci. Then I signed both of them at the end, right, to play. Like this kind of feels like that, where we need numbers. They released a guy named Jacob Bayer, I think it is. Jacob Bayer, I think is who they released, if I remember right. And he was a lineman. And no, it wasn't. It was Rush Reimer. I'm sorry. Jacob Bayer's still on the team. Sorry to Jacob Bayer's parents if they're listening. He's still on the team. Yeah. Dan Feeney replaced Rush Reimer, actually. And Rush Reimer, I think, was probably not as much of an interior guy. So I think this was numbers, to be honest with you. And to answer your question, though, McDermott did say they're not expecting Cedric Van Pran Granger until maybe after Tampa. I mean, that's after the last preseason game. I think Cedric Van Pran Granger, my prediction right now, as I sit here with you right now,
he's in trouble,
is that he starts the season on PUP.
Okay.
And therefore, that's going to be another 6 weeks. And maybe not. I mean, only because if you're not getting any work and any time in, you're going to put him on the 53. You can do that. If they feel they can totally do that. They feel they're comfortable with him doing that. But they could also just transition him to PUP. Then it's only 4 games, not 6 actually. Then he only has to sit out 4 games, and they can just use that time for him to get ready.
Ramp him up and get him going.
Yeah.
All right. Did I miss anything? Have you had the trade day Sunday? By the way, have you tried?
I haven't.
No.
Listen. I'm going to be super honest with you. I have not been to the Pittsford Dairy this entire time in camp this year, and it's a great spot. I've been there before, but I'm not Mr. Dairy guy. I like ice cream. Right. But I mean, a lot of people really like to go there, and it's a great spot. I just have not been here this entire trip because I am putting out so much content. I guess
you're so busy. You don't have time for Sundays. Yeah, no, I got
to the Pittsford Dairy. So, no, listen, tomorrow's the last day of camp. And I mean, I could say this tomorrow, but everybody's just so awesome out here. The security who's out here, the people who are checking, like people walking around and they're, making sure, directing traffic and making sure people have proper badges. Most of them are actually teachers in the Rochester area. So shout out to them. Like they're, coming here and this is kind of their summer gig and they're doing this and that's really cool. And I would say from real quick, Hard Knocks last night, I thought St. John Fisher looked amazing on television. I thought the area looked great. I thought the scenes, the red, white, and blue. And I even think by watching it, I had a thought, Bulldog. Tell me if you agree. I said this on the show last night. Do you think there might be some teams, some presidents, team presidents, CEOs, whatever going, we don't go away, but look at what they do there. Maybe we should think about taking our guys away for a couple of weeks. There are only a handful of teams that do that now. It used to be the thing back in the day because of efficiency with all your facilities right there. But I think after watching that, if I'm on the outside looking in, I might go, I think that might be something we should look at.
I think there's only 5 teams now that go away. If I have the numbers right, I could be off on that, but it's a very low number, so that's right. My first thought would be that might depend on how much that team president's owner has sunk into facilities at their stadium site, right? Like how comfortable have we made it to be here, and does it make sense for us to go somewhere else, or do we have, would we be limiting ourselves by going away instead of actually expanding on what we can do? But All right. Well, I'll let you go here, Sal. The Red Sox have passed the Yankees in the standings, by the way. I don't know if you.
Yeah,
you,
thanks, Bulldog. See you. Bye.
I don't know if you've noticed that or not. I just thought I would fill you in. It would happen a couple days ago, but
the Yankees are just terrible right now. It's absolutely terrible. It is full on panic mode in New York City. It is full on fire everybody mode in New York City right now. All Yankees fans. I'm getting texts from friends, literally all caps, fire everyone, ! 10 times. Like that's what I'm getting on my phone.
They're tied with Texas right now in the bottom of the 6-2-2. So
they'll blow it.
Maybe okay. Wow, that's the spirit, Sal. That is sports fan. That's Yankee fan, Sal.
Yeah.
Because you are one of the most optimistic people I've ever known, and I don't say that lightly, and I mean that as a compliment, of course. But to hear they'll blow it is you're in.
I just thought the same thing. I'm like, from Mr. Optimism, I'm saying they're going to blow it because that's just what happens with this team now.
Right. All right. Thanks for this, buddy. We'll talk tomorrow.
You got it.
There's Sal Capaccio, his training camp coverage, all of our training camp coverage of the Bills from St. John Fisher University is brought to you by Fiegel, Carr, and Joyce, your border attorneys, by Outlet Liquor. When you need to stock up, it's the place to buy a case. What's your outlet? By Connors and Ferris, your workers' comp attorneys, and driven by your Upstate Honda dealers for great deals on the entire Honda lineup. Visit your Upstate Honda dealer today. We'll hit up a timeout here, reload some phone calls. You got a reaction to last night's Hard Knocks Bills debut. Would love to hear you. 803-0550 is that number, and lines are wide open right now, so if you want to get in, you should have no trouble getting through. Again, Hard Knocks debuted last night. If you watched it and want to share your thoughts, please get in on it. Anything that's going on at practice that I can maybe fill you in on, opinions about position battles and different players that have caught your eye and whatnot, would love to hear from you. If you've been out there, even yourself at practice, feel free to share your observations with us today. Again, 803-0550 is that number. Mike Tenier, our old friend covering the NFL, will join me at the top of the hour, but we got a half an hour here to just hang out and knock it around, so please feel free to call. Mike is away this week, along with Zach Jones. I'm the Bulldog, and you're listening to WGR.
We've been living in sin so long, all the feels are gone. Fell to stop me on the street last night. Said everything's alright. Roller coaster, make it through the day upright. It seems your meal ticket is gone, but life goes on. I could never imagine something better. Yeah, right. Now you're cooking on high heat in the middle of the street. Roller coaster, take me to a better time. Let's go. All sing your high line with the roller coaster of life. Yeah. It's time to all choose your timeline on the roller coaster of life. You seem to easily forget how to place your bet. When everyday life gets you down, you gotta steal the crown. Got to own it. Don't bitch and moan about it, please. God forbid you scrape your knees, and it's nothing to sneeze at. Oh, I've told you over and over again. You gotta get both hands around it and make your own plans. Roller coaster, it's taking over, it's about time. Oh, all sing your high line on the roller coaster of life. You've got to all choose your timeline with the roller coaster of life. I want to go down the rabbit hole, down the rabbit hole of life. And now it's about to leave. Oh, roller coaster.
Just one more day left at St. John Fisher. The Bills got back to work today, although James Cook now on day number 3 of a hold-in. The Bills, though, did have some good news, especially on the injury front, as linebacker Dorian Williams, cornerback Dane Jackson, and defensive tackle Deion Walker were all back at practice. But the team also made some roster moves. They announced the signing of linebacker Jimmy Charlo, and with that, they have waived linebacker Balin Spector. For more on today, our own Sal Capaccio does have a piece up at our website, WGR550.com. And a reminder that coverage of Bills training camp from St. John Fisher University is brought to you by Fiegel Car and Joyce, your border attorneys, by Outlet Liquor. When you need to stock up, it's the place to buy a case. What's your outlet? By Connors and Ferris, your workers' comp attorneys, and driven by your Upstate Honda dealers for great deals on the entire Honda lineup. Is your Upstate Honda dealer today. Bit of an update on Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford. He has been out for most of training camp, and he is reportedly dealing with an aggravated disc in his back. He's been receiving an epidural to help deal with this. He is considered week to week, with the hope being that he'll be able to return for week 1. And then the Browns confirmed today Shedeur Sanders will get the start at quarterback Friday against the Carolina Panthers. Then in baseball, Bisons on the road versus the Woo Sox. First pitch scheduled for 6:45, and that game can be heard on our sister station, the Bet 1520. It's Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
Honestly, I feel like he has it all. The timing, the accuracy, the placement, the speed, the awareness.
He has it all.
The field recognition. I mean, what else? He audibles in the backfield. When you turn on Joe's tape, it's different from Josh Allen's tape. Completely different. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So people game plan against Josh Allen, not against Joe Burrow. They play against his game weapons. You know what I'm saying? So that's the difference.
All right, it's now the 4th time that I've listened to that, and a few thoughts. That's Jamar Chase of the Bengals talking about I cannot fathom that what he means to do is sound like or say that teams don't have to prepare or game plan for his quarterback. But that's literally what he said, right? I mean, I there's no way he meant that. It had to come out wrong. I've been waiting all day. My son showed me that last night. I know that it was played on the morning show, and Jared and Joe talked about it. I only saw like a brief clip of it, so I don't know that they spent a lot of time on it. Nor should they. They're live at Bills camp, and we're getting ready to talk to Sean McDermott or whatever, talking about Hard Knocks. So, not a Bengals show. I want you to consider for just a moment if Stephon Diggs were still here, or anybody, like any Keon Coleman, Curtis Samuel, who do you want here, right? No, Diggs is the obvious one because he's the closest we've had to a receiver that is at the level that Jamar Chase is at. I mean, he's one of one. He's at the top of the heap, if not very near the top of the heap, right? When you're talking about fantasy drafts, there's your 101 there. Like it's him, Justin Jefferson, like take your pick maybe, right? So, I mean, he's a monster kingpin number one wide receiver in the league, like Diggs was when he was here. So imagine if at some point, while Diggs is on the Bills, right, that he says something similar to that about, whatever, right? About Joe Burrow or about Lamar Jackson while he's talking about Josh Allen. Like, yeah, my guy's good at this and this and this, but, man, teams don't have to game plan for him like they do for Lamar. We would never stop talking about it. I mean, ever. And, you can paint us as broadly as you want with the brush. You guys are going to make a big deal out of everything. That would be a big deal, such a big deal amongst the fan base that people would never want to stop talking about it. And then after a day or so, or maybe not even, we'd start getting calls from people that are mad that you're still talking about this thing that people can't stop talking about. And like the cycle would just go on until there would be some clarification. I don't know that we've gotten any kind of a clarification yet on what Jamar Chase was trying to say about Joe Burrow, but basically in a nutshell, I think what he's telling you, at least in the words he used there, again, I can't fathom that this was his intent. Maybe he said the wrong word someplace, but I can't really figure out the puzzle. I'm not in his head. He's telling you Allen's better than Burrow. Like, Allen's a harder player to play against than Burrow. He even says at the end, I think, maybe realizing what he just did by saying teams got a game plan for Josh Allen is in a way saying they don't for his guy, and he wants to make it better, but says they got a game plan for us, like me and T. That is not helping. You're going the wrong way. You stop digging. That blew my mind when I heard it. And again, if there's been, I don't know how it's going to get walked back, but it probably will at some point get walked back. Maybe even Burrow will be asked about it and have to talk about it because at some point he'll be meeting with the media. I'm just really curious. I even just mentioned to Zach off the air, like I don't need to get Joe Goodberry on. He's our Bengals guy, but I'm really curious what he thinks about it. Like maybe he knows the code and even to some extent, has already gotten wind of a walk back and an attempt to try to just patch that up. Patch it up makes it sound like there's dissension and bad blood. It's the kind of thing that could generate that. My guy's not as – you don't have to game plan for him like you do for their guy? Holy cow. That's just a minefield. So you wonder why guys are reluctant sometimes – to open up and just talk freely. Sometimes they step in it. Again, I cannot imagine that Jamar Chase believes that Joe Burrow's not as good as Josh Allen. And even if he were to even ever think that, I can't believe he would say it in any public setting. So I have to think there was some misstep there by him, but I don't know. Like I said, I've listened to it a few times, trying to decipher like, what was he? What did he mean there? Because what he ends up saying is teams don't have to game plan for our guy like they do for their guy. Teams have to game plan for us, for me, the skill players, not the quarterback. I don't know. It's just an odd thing to say. It's a good thing the Bengals aren't on Hard Knocks. Let me tell you that, because that would never get stopped talking about. The Bills are on Hard Knocks. The first episode debuted yesterday, and the takeaways are many. It was a very, I think, glowing look at the organization, really from top to bottom. Any Bills fan would have watched that show and just been smiling, I think. Like, we've got it pretty good. Right. And I'm not here to kick at that, but I think HBO's Hard Knocks has been known for, kind of airing storylines and telling stories that maybe, they have the potential to go viral, right? The thing with the Giants, with the offseason one last year before the draft, when Joe Shane's kid said, draft Jaden Daniels. And there was the whole Saquon Barkley thing. I'm not going to pay a 12 million was the number then? Whatever the number was. I'm going to pay a running back this money when I've got a $40 million quarterback. And, of course, Barkley goes out and gets 2,000 yards in his first year in Philadelphia, and they win the Super Bowl. And, teams probably want more of that stuff to end up on the cutting room floor, and maybe that will end up being the case with this season of Hard Knocks. They get 4 more episodes, the next one coming next Tuesday. So we'll see how hard they get into the injury stuff or the James Cook situation. But it was all thumbs up, all positive. And again, I'm not complaining about that. I'm merely just observing that it might as well have been like an in-house Bills production. The way that it came off. There's no mention of Cook's situation. There's no mention of Khalil Shakir's injury. This is no turbulence really at all. But, they've got time here to tell stories. And maybe yesterday was all about just sort of setting that part of it up. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not one who has watched lots of episodes of that show, especially the training camp editions. I often haven't been an HBO subscriber, and it's the middle of summer. I'm not married to watching stuff. If that content were coming in November when I'm riding a bike in the basement for 2 hours every morning, I probably would be watching it more regularly. But anyway, just some immediate takeaways. 803-0550 is the number if you would like to get in on the program, share your observations about the show from last night. That certainly is on the table with us here today. And anything regarding the Bills, of course, is always fair game. We've got our buddy Mike Tanier coming up. On the NFL, he's with Two Deep Zone is his current home. NFL writer, editor, and founder of Two Deep Zone. I love Mike's Twitter X profile. He's NFL writer, editor, founder of Two Deep Zone, formerly Football Outsiders, the New York Times, The Messenger, Bleacher Report, and other ancient empires. That's a great bio. Love it. Anyway, Mike has been a pretty regular guest of ours over the years. He'll be with us coming up at the top of the hour. Between now and then, your calls are welcomed. 803-0550 is the number. I am the Bulldog, and this is WGR. Cool of you to hang out with me today. Mike Schopp is away for the rest of this week. I am the Bulldog. 803-0550 is the number. Let's get back to the phones before we hit the top of the hour, and Mike Tenier joins me. Ernie is next up on WGR. Hi, Ernie. Thank you for calling. You're on the air.
Hey, Bulldog. How's it going?
Great, man. Thank you.
I listened to that Jamar Chase thing for the first time. It's hysterical because I know what he was doing. He was trying to diss the Bills by saying that you only have to plan for Josh Allen. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you don't have to worry about anything else. Whereas with our team, you got to worry about all our weapons. And he just said it so wrong.
yeah. That's I think a very reasonable and maybe even the right guess.
Well, you consider the source because he's always dissing us, the Bills, has in the past, and he's completely wrong because obviously we do have weapons you have to worry about. We've proven that. So
right.
It's just one of those things.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Ernie. Appreciate it. Yeah, that might be right. I guess I don't follow. I guess the say the message boards. I don't. He disses the Bills regularly. I did not know that. I'm not denying that's the case. That is a plausible explanation. He really botched it though. There's just no way around it. Thanks, Ernie. Appreciate it. Adam is next up. Hi, Adam. Thank you for calling. You're on WGR.
Hey, Bulldog. How's it going?
Great. How are you?
Good. I got a mock trade for you. What about AJ Epineza, James Cook, and a first-round pick for Micah Parsons? What do you think?
Say all that again?
AJ Epineza, James Cook, and a first-round pick for Micah Parsons.
I think that's hilariously nowhere near enough.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think maybe a second. I shouldn't. I'm exaggerating because I'm on the radio. I think maybe another first-round pick. Included might get you closer, but I don't think that would be enough.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. I said last week when that was first starting to percolate, and even earlier this week, like I want to call them. Because who knows what Jerry Jones and the Cowboys are going to do. That has been an incredible thing to follow here the last few days. Some of the comments from the owners they're incredible. Call them. You never know. But if you could find your way to parlaying your running back who is, I'm going to stop short of calling him disgruntled. He's unhappy with his current contract. I predict if nothing gets done, he'll just come in and play, and it'll be fine, and you'll forget all about it. But I could be wrong about that. But as it stands right now, if you could use him and Epinesa, he's to me, despite this affinity for hunting snakes, he's just a guy, I think, pretty much. If you could parlay James Cook, a running back who wants to be paid a top-of-the-market running back contract, even though he plays less than 50% of his team snaps, in some way, shape, or form, you could use him as a tangible piece to get you Micah Parsons, you should be arrested. That would be an incredible haul to pull that off. Again, it's Dallas. Call them. You never know. And just for the record, like if it were something that we actually had to talk about, like if there were smoke of like Adam Schefter an hour from now says there's word the Bills are talking to Dallas about Micah Parsons, I'm absolutely trading James Cook and AJ Epinesa and 2 number ones for Micah Parsons. Like I'm getting out of bed in the morning, and before I even brush my teeth, I'm making that trade. We'll pause the phone calls for now. Mike Tenier, NFL writer and commentator with Too Deep Zone, going to be my guest right after this on WGR.
Got back to work today over at St. John Fisher. James Cook, though, now on day 3 of a hold-in. The Bills, though, had some good news, especially on the injury side of things. Linebacker Dorian Williams and defensive tackle Deion Walker both back at practice. Cornerback Dane Jackson along with them. He was, though, excused for personal reasons. The morning also saw the Bills announce the signing of linebacker Jimmy Charlo, and with that, they have waived linebacker Balin Spector. Our own Sal Capaccio has more on today up at our website, WGR550.com. And a reminder that coverage of Bills training camp from St. John Fisher University is brought to you by Figo Car and Joyce, your border attorneys. By Outlet Liquor, when you need to stock up, it's the place to buy a case. What's your outlet? By Connors and Ferris, your workers' comp attorneys. And driven by your Upstate Honda dealers for great deals on the entire Honda lineup. There's your Upstate Honda dealer today. We did get a bit of an update on the health of quarterback Matthew Stafford, as he has been dealing with an aggravated disc in his back. The Rams have been giving him an epidural to help deal with that. He is now considered week to week. The hope is he'll be ready to play for week 1. And then the Browns confirmed today Shedeur Sanders will get the start at quarterback this Friday against the Carolina Panthers. While in baseball, Bison's on the road versus the Woo Sox. First pitch scheduled for 6:45. That game can be heard on our sister station, The Bet 1520. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
Welcome to the Hotel Hell. Check-in time is now, check-out time is never.
It's Mike Schopp.
Does my room have cable?
No. And the sheets are made of fire.
Can I change rooms?
Sorry, we're all booked up. Hell convention in town.
And the Bulldog.
Can I have a late checkout?
I'll have to talk to the manager.
You're not the manager, even in your own fantasy?
I'm the owner. The co-owner. With Satan.
It's Mike Schopp.
Okay. Just so I understand it, in your wildest fantasy, you are in hell. And you are co-running a bed and breakfast with the devil.
And the Bulldog.
Yeah, but I haven't told you my salary yet.
Go.
$80,000 a year.
On WGR Sports Radio 550.
Want to give it up for our dude Zach Jones in there on the updates today. He's 4 for 4 so far. He's got 2 more to go on getting through that Matthew Stafford aggravated disc story unscathed. I
totally jinxed it.
I hope I'm not, doing the no-hitter thing or the shutout thing, but I just props. I mean, it's a minefield out there, and you are so far effortlessly, or so it seems, navigating said minefield. Joining us right now on the West Her Hotline is our buddy Mike Tenier, NFL writer, editor, founder of Two Deep Zone. Mike, how are things, man? It's nice to talk to you.
It's nice to talk to you. The veteran move is just to refer to it as a back injury.
Yeah, that is always a way to do it. But this guy, I mean, he's the road less traveled. That is what Zach Jones is all about. That's his brand. Before we get into this, I want to make sure my buddy Nate Geary was in with me yesterday and he's going to be here tomorrow while Mike's on vacation. But he had some golf thing he had to do today, so he couldn't be here. But he wanted me to tell you hello. He felt like you're one of the OG Saturday Sports Talk Saturday guests.
I miss Nate, but it is very much on brand for him to be golfing at the start of football season, at the height of camp, at the height of the preseason, to have a golf emergency.
And with Hard Knocks debuting last night, Mike. I mean the audacity of this guy to skip work today. Are you a Hard Knocks? Are you? I'm sorry, what? I missed it.
Best hour of sleep I ever had.
Oh, right. Okay. So yeah, no, you're not here. Did you like it before it became as sanitized as it seems to be now, or has it never really been much appeal to it for you?
No, it never had much appeal. Before it was sanitized, it still felt like it was 90% scripted, and the entire 10% of people actually spilling tea in front of the cameras made it in there. And now the 10% is gone, and the whole thing is scripted. And all I know for sure is that I don't want to go driving with Deion Dawkins. Other than that, I don't think I'm going to learn anything about the Bills. I'll say this, though. Boring is good. Boring in July is good for a football team. The Browns and the Giants were interesting. Think about it.
Right. No, there's no doubt. I've gotten a lot of that today because I've been saying, like, this might as well be, like, the Bills, all these teams have their own, video and digital arms, and the Bills and Sabres are owned by the same company, and they produce a lot of content that is like, behind the scenes at the draft, like, here's how free agency went down and that kind of stuff. And I enjoy that as a fan, for sure. But yesterday's debut of Hard Knocks felt almost entirely like it could have been produced by the Bills themselves.
It sounds like Josh Allen had like a screenwriter writing some of his stuff for him. It's a little bit ridiculous. Again, and a lot of times when these guys are just kind of like dedicated to their work kind of guys, you're not going to get an interesting storyline out of them. I would rather if they just had Josh Allen sit there and they showed him a couple of plays from last year and said, just explain the play to us. That would be fine.
Right.
I'm not talking about like the interception or throwing the ball away or whatever. His touchdowns or just some random plays. Explain football to us. I would prefer that than to try to be following these guys around and seeing how they pack for work and some of the other behind-the-scenes stuff they try to hit us with.
Yeah, well, you're so boring, Mike. That's of course what that's what you would like. Well, the thing is, I mean, and I've gotten a lot of that. Boring is good, and look, I don't disagree. Like, I want the Bills to be successful, and the less drama they have, the better. But it's not like they're without anything. I mean, they showed footage from a Friday evening practice at the stadium last Friday where their leading pass catcher by a lot last year suffered a high ankle sprain and is now out week to week. That didn't get mentioned in this episode, nor did anything about James Cook being dissatisfied with his contract. Now, the hold-in began maybe on a timeline where it might have been tough for them to squeeze that in because that just started on Sunday. So I can understand that. So we'll see what the future episodes bring, but the Bills aren't totally drama-free either.
Absolutely not, and I think both might have been on a pretty tight timeline to turn things around. You'll probably see both of those in the next one. And, a hold-in is somewhat interesting. Injuries, obviously, this is important, but when you're trying to do television drama, it's like, well, he's hurt and he's week to week, and that's it. Kind of the story. Yep. It's not like people are going to be like having knockdown, drag-out arguments or fun stuff like that for television producers.
Right, of course. So, what's your takeaway on the Cook situation so far? We saw Kyron Williams get a contract this week from the Rams. That's a player that's on the field almost 90% of the snaps for the Rams through the last couple of seasons. And in the case of James Cook, who wants to be paid, closer to the top of the market rate here, $15 million has been a number that has been put out there by him and his camp. He's 47% of snaps. They don't trust him to block on third downs. They've got a third down back. They've got a 1B, if you will, in Ray Davis, and I think they like the timeshare. So what do you think about Cook and, what should be the outcome here?
He's not going to get top money. The Bills are very careful. They're paying a lot of people a lot of money. They can't kind of be foolish with contracts. He's not Saquon. He's not Christian McCaffrey. He's not Derrick Henry. I don't think anybody, except possibly he himself, thinks he's in that category. I haven't looked at the Kyron Williams contract. I was looking at things like Chuba Hubbard's contract and Ramondre Stevenson and some of the other guys. That's where Cook probably should be slated. I think he is a valuable player. I think this ends probably sometime in the next week or so. It might end after Ray Davis or Darrytown Evans or somebody like that breaks off a decent run in the preseason game. But it's not going to end with him getting what he wanted. And I guess the one saving grace of this is when you're holding in, you're unlikely to get injured. So when he does sign on and works out a little bit and loosens up, he'll be ready to play. Unlike some of the guys who are out there, not just Shakir, but other ones who have been struggling with injuries over the last week.
Right. The Kyron Williams contract, by the way, 3 years, $33 million, 23 guaranteed.
That's it. And numbers. Numbers.
Yeah. Those. I'm not eager to do. Frankly, this whole time, Mike, my approach has been. Look, as mean as it is, I like James Cook. I recognize his value. The Bills do not have very many, if any, other than him, explosive playmakers, really. They're not a fast team skill player-wise. We'll see what, Elijah Moore, if he makes the team, does, or if Curtis Samuel's healthy, if that can change. Josh Palmer's a good separator. So they've got some new contributors in the pass-catching department, but Cook gave them explosive plays. He was running away from DBs last year on long runs, and that was like a new facet of his game. So there is value there, but I'd be inclined to just play out the year, and I wouldn't want to give him the Kyron Williams contract. I recognize that might be a good compromise, and I wouldn't be kicking and screaming about it, but I don't need them to do anything. I would be fine letting him go to market next spring.
Yeah, something that sounds like $333. That sounds like a normal contract for James Cook. Some of the other ones I mentioned are in that range. It's kind of like when you reach the point of what Saquon, it's really Saquon, Henry, and McCaffrey are making. They're making it for a body of work. That's pretty obvious that they're making it for the fact that they've proven that they can be bell cows for multiple years, that they can do things like come back from an injury, that they can elevate this team to deep playoff runs, which in Cook's case, he came in when they were already a deep playoff run team. That's what that premium money is for, because there's always risk with paying a running back, and those guys said, we are worth the risk. James Cook has not had the kind of season yet in his career where he says, well, this is it, I'm worth the risk, where if I have an injury and I'm playing next year for this much money, it was worth the chance that would happen.
Mike Tanier, NFL writer, editor, founder of Two Deep Zone. You've also enjoyed his work with Football Outsiders, and as he says in his X bio, and Other Ancient Empires, which is one of my favorite X bios that I've ever seen. The overall on the Bills, I mean, it's a pretty familiar spot they're in, Mike. They're one of the top favorites for the Super Bowl. Again, they've got the reigning MVP on their team. They're still banging the everybody eats mantra when it comes to pass catchers. The offensive line looks like a strength again, together, entirely for 2 seasons running now. Knock on something wooden here to hope that continues. What do you think about the overall with the Bills? Do they look like same as it ever was here?
Same as it ever was, possibly even an easier division. According to the DVOA analysis, one of the easiest schedules in the NFL. I look at the obvious opener with the Ravens. After that, there's a chance of going 5-0 before their bye without breaking a sweat. So maybe they're 6-0 or 5-1 as Halloween approaches. And it's almost like there's nothing to talk about until mid-January for this team. I mean, and fans there, you're going to see these wins every week, and probably a lot of fans there are going to say, okay, we beat the Saints 31-0. What does that mean for the AFC Championship game? Like, that's kind of how you're going to be looking at this. That's how I'm going to be looking at it as an outsider. So, if you want to talk about home field advantage through the playoffs, they're the team that has the best chance to do that because they should go 6-0 in division, et cetera. And then if you say, well, how do they stack up against the Ravens and the Chiefs? I take a deep breath and I say, well, those are the 3 teams, aren't they? We're going to have to see as the season unfolds.
Yeah. I don't have a name for this, but my regular partner here, Mike Schopp, will reference someone. I don't know if it was a listener or an email or someone on social media said something to the effect, or maybe it said another member of the media that I just don't remember. But anyway, I can't wait until the Bills beat the Chiefs again in the regular season, and I feel nothing.
Excellence fatigue. Excellence fatigue. Right. Your team is so good most of the time that they can do nothing to convince you and make you feel like they've gotten over any hump until they hit that final hurdle that is months away.
We do have sort of a I don't know, overhaul might be a little strong, but they did go to work on the defense here, yeah. Mike. There's a lot of new parts on the defensive line. The secondary, Tre'Davious White is back, and that seems to be going really well so far. He's healthier than he's been in a long time after suffering 2 devastating season-ending injuries here in pretty short order before going on last year to be with the Rams and the Baltimore Ravens eventually. But up front, I mean, it's Larry Ogunjobi, and there's 2 draft pick defensive tackles. There's a 3rd-round pick from last year, Dwayne Carter, where I'm trying to figure out. He's got a pickup truck painted like in Bills colors. I'm trying to figure out how he's going to make the team with all the guys in front of him. You've got Joey Bosa, Michael Hoyt. He and Ogunjobi are going to miss 6 games with suspensions, but still, they really did go to work. How much time have you spent thinking about how different they may be up front?
It is. I am intrigued by that defensive line. I think you answered your question on how Walker makes the team. He's got 6 weeks early on to kind of prove himself with other guys who are suspended. And he's kind of a uniquely built individual where if they can tap his potential.
Yeah, no, not Walker. I was talking about Dwayne Carter, was a third-round pick last year at defensive tackle. Walker, is this year he's the behemoth. Yeah, he's a part of the problem for Carter is what I'm thinking. But anyway.
Okay, and then you bring in Bosa again. He probably has a little more left in the tank than Miller did in and out of injuries. I look at it and I want to see it in the preseason because I can see depth in the preseason. That's the one thing I can say. And I just wonder as I look at that and the secondary how much more optimization you can do on the defense. And again, the Bills. Credit to the Bills in terms of sustaining the Super Bowl window. They've done everything you can expect a team to do and more. A weaker organization would be falling apart because of salary cap issues, et cetera. They've been clever with extensions. They've kind of let some guys go maybe a year too early, but then a year too late, and they've played the succession game very well. So when you start talking about T.J. Sanders and Landon Jackson and Deion Walker and Ogunjobi and some of these guys, I say this is a team that does the succession game very well. They do next man up very well in October and November. That's only going to help them, but I just don't know what the level of help I'd need to see is before I could say, oh, well, that's going to be the missing link that's going to beat the Chiefs in a playoff game.
Right. It would really help if they could find if one of these guys who you mentioned can find a way to get in Patrick Mahomes' face in a playoff game. Like that's just they have been lacking that. They got Von Miller to do that, and he did it in a regular season game, made big plays in the fourth quarter of a regular season win there. But by the time the playoffs came around, he was injured, and that was the end of that.
Yeah, and the Eagles were able to do it in the Super Bowl by going like 7 or 8 deep with the different guys pass rushing, but also being able to just shut everything down in their secondary with that Vic Fangio-type shell. And maybe it is. Maybe if Hairston can get healthy, et cetera, and White and some of these other guys help Bedford out, they can have what they need on the back end to kind of exert their will on the front end.
How about on the other side here? I already mentioned everybody eats. We talked about James Cook in the running game, but they did add Josh Palmer. We'll see about Elijah Moore and Curtis Samuel. They feel kind of like one or the other to me, but I don't have to be right about that. Samuel is already missing time with an injury. Moore has been someone who I know the fantasy community has been fawning over for years, just get him a good quarterback. So maybe he's someone who can show up and sort of surprise. How about Palmer, first of all, maybe most prominently, because I think he's someone, I mean, they're not paying him like a ridiculous salary, but he's the highest paid receiver. No, actually Shakir is with the extension, but they did go into free agency to bring Palmer here. He's got 170 catch year with the Chargers, and then the rest is kind of pretty pedestrian. What do you think about him as an addition here?
Yeah, he's one of those guys. I mean, he's a big-bodied possession guy. I think he catches what's thrown to him. I don't think he's a great separator, but, he wins physical mismatches. I keep going back to the last 3 years of, Justin Herbert doesn't have the weapons. Justin Herbert doesn't have the weapons. Well, Palmer was one of the non-weapons.
Right.
He was a guy, and you can argue, well, he should be the number 3 wideout, but like he was being used as a number 2, number 1. There's a chance he's a number 2 wideout here if Shakir's healthy. It's interesting because he and Kean Coleman have similar traits. You mentioned Elijah Moore and Curtis Samuel being the same guy. They are. They're the same guy. And maybe if one of them is healthy at any given time, that's a win. I look at the back of the lineup, and Laviska Shenault and KJ Hamler, they're kind of the same guy because they're like sort of this injury case, slot speedster, skinny fella here. They've got to kind of put this together in a way that makes sense. Obviously, you got Cook, you've got these tight ends. I don't see the number 1, and I guess the thing I do want to see right now is health. I don't know who's going to be healthy week 1. I need to see Shakir because I kind of know what he is, and he can say, well, he can do like an Amon-Ra St. Brown type of thing the way he does and open things up, and then maybe you guys get some production out of these new faces.
Let's mention Dalton Kincaid here. It was said to me earlier by our beat guy, Sal Capaccio, that he had a very good day of practice today. Very tough second year, injury problems, I think hopefully largely the cause. I say hopefully because you'd want there to be that as an explanation. The problem with that is it something that is going to linger. He did miss 1 day of practice already with knee soreness. So I'm watching that very closely. But that's a player I thought, Mike, off the rookie year was showing a lot of promise, and then last year happened, and now maybe the shot shine is off. I feel like this is a big year for him.
Yeah, and I'm just double-checking on him. And what's troubling is before the injuries, he wasn't this factor. It was September. He was relatively healthy. 1-catch, 3-catch games, et cetera. So much of, I think, what Joe Brady wants to do, I think so much of what's within Josh Allen's comfort zone is you can run this 2 tight end base attack, and you have the opportunity to do power and speed because Kincaid should be able to do both things. Knox can also stretch a little bit. You can run, you can throw. Josh Allen can run options. You can call plays at the line like RPOs because you're not in the spread formation situation. That's what they want. I think they want Kincaid to be the elite player. I think they drafted him to be a tight end receiver hybrid, to be the big possession guy. And, I haven't seen him. I don't know what his health status is, but that's another key because it's like, well, he regains form, then you don't worry so much about, what's Curtis Samuel going to bring to the table because he gets relegated to more of a role player status.
Mike Tanier of Two Deep Zone on the Western Hotline for just another couple of minutes here. You mentioned it already. The division looks like a pretty cozy ride. If there's a team that I should be looking over my shoulder at amongst the Dolphins, Jets, and Patriots, who do you think it should be?
It's the Patriots, and it's like way over the shoulder. It's the Patriots in terms of, you could end up with the season split or something like that with this team as they made a lot of additions both through the draft and on free agency. I'm going to not name them all because there's 137 guys they added. But Drake May definitely demonstrated some potential to be a franchise-level quarterback. And I don't even know if you guys saw him last year because you saw Milton in the finale. So those are your worries there. I think that the Jets are really almost like taking their gap year right now to find themselves with Justin Fields. And the Dolphins are literally having some sort of like emotional nervous breakdown as we speak. Day by day, the news, the quotes out of there become more dire. I don't think Mike McDaniel lasts the season as their head coach. And I'm starting to wonder if he's going to last September as their head coach, the way that the news is going out of there.
I'm with you on Miami. I just think it seems like it's reached a conclusion here. Like we talked a lot at this time last year about the Bills window. Man, I think the Miami there's plywood over the window. I think at this point with Miami is how I feel. I love it. The Jets are backpacking across Europe, is what you're telling me here?
Yes, that's it.
All right.
And they're shuttering up the windows in Miami.
What do you think about the Chiefs, real quick, before you go? Because I'm sort of bracing for. I know there's always health, right? And there's a Rashee Rice suspension, perhaps incoming at some point here, but. All the talk about Mahomes and the explosive plays going away and their passing offense just being very pedestrian now, I don't know. I'm sort of bracing for like a 5,000-yard, 45-touchdown Mahomes season incoming.
That might be your Bills' anxiety talking to him.
Yeah, for sure.
The Chiefs. And both in my gut and as I look at the projections, DVOA projections from FTN Almanac, I see the Ravens and the Bills kind of neck and neck for the top projection, and the Chiefs a clear tier below them. And there's a team that has a bunch of new faces on the offensive line, possibly a rookie left tackle in Josh Simmons that they're trying to work in. They're a team that's up against the cap to a degree. They've got some new faces all over the place. And their playmaker core isn't really set either. The one thing I'll say about that is that when they go out and they draft these guys like Rice and Worthy and Jalen Royals, they're always drafting like the fastest dude. They're also always drafting like the fastest dude where you look at him and say, oh, my gosh, between catching bombs and catching screen and go and catching end arounds, this guy's going to be touchdowns. And that's the thing you worry about. And I look at the Bills, they always seem to be going after like the biggest, sturdiest dude. And sometimes I think, guys, maybe try the fastest dude just once and see if that helps you guys do what those guys are doing every year.
No, you're preaching to the choir here. The Xavier Worthy trade made me insane, Mike. Absolutely. That was my guy in that draft. Like, not only are you not taking him, you're trading out of the spot and letting Kansas City take him. And I'm like, oh, my God. All right, we got to go. Mike, thank you so much for the time. Always enjoy it, and I'm sure we'll catch up once the season gets rolling.
You got it. Take care, and be careful when you're talking about Matthew Stafford's back injury.
Yes, indeed. Mike Tanier, NFL writer, editor, founder of Two Deep Zone, formerly with Football Outsiders and our buddy Aaron Schatz over there, and he's still contributing to Aaron's venture, the Almanac and FTN and all that. So, good dude, that Mike Tanier. All right, I got to hit up a timeout. I'm the Bulldog. Mike is away this week. Thanks a lot for hanging with me here on a Wednesday. This is WGR.
yesterday, but now just one more practice at St. John Fisher. For today, James Cook holding out for day number 3. The good news, though, for the Bills on the injury front, linebacker Dorian Williams and defensive tackle Deion Walker were back at practice, while cornerback Dane Jackson was back after missing the last few days with an excused absence. This morning also saw the team announce the signing of linebacker Jimmy Charlo, and with that, they have waived linebacker Balin Spector. And for more on this morning, our own Sal Capaccio has a piece up at our website, WGR550.com. And a reminder that coverage of Bills training camp from St. John Fisher University is brought to you by Fiegel Car and Joyce, your border attorneys, by Outlet Liquor. When you need to stock up, it's the place to buy. Case What's Your Outlet? By Connors and Ferris, your workers' comp attorneys, and driven by your Upstate Honda dealers. For great deals on the entire Honda lineup, visit your Upstate Honda dealer today. We did get some news on the health of Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford. He is dealing with an aggravated disc in his back. He has been receiving an epidural to help deal with that. He is now considered week to week, and the hope is he'll be ready to go for week 1. And then coming up on Friday, the Browns have confirmed that Shedeur Sanders will get the start at quarterback when his team gets their preseason underway against the Carolina Panthers. And then in baseball, Bison's on the road versus the Woo Sox. First pitch scheduled for 6:45. That game can be heard on our sister station, the Bet 1520. It's Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
I don't really talk to James about his situation. I just control what I can control. It's about just coming out here and doing what I can do. It's kind of a next man up mentality for practice. So, whoever's getting reps, me, Ty, Diev, or Frank, we just got to go out there and, keep playing ball and, let everything take care of itself.
That is Bills running back, one of the ones that's actually participating in practice. Hey-oh! That's Ray Davis talking about the James Cook situation. It was a line. I'm not freaking out at all about the James Cook situation. I understand where he's at. I don't think he's being realistic, but, shoot your shot. This is the chance, really, this year, ideally for him to get a big contract extension. He can do that as a free agent next year, but he's got to go through 17 plus, ideally 3 more, so 20 games, right? To get there, that includes the Super Bowl and only 2 playoff games, because in my head, they're the 1 seed. Did you follow all that? Anyway, so I respect, I took a shot there just because. Sometimes there's a line that comes to mind and you just feel like you got to say it. Thanks a lot for hanging with us today. I want to tell a little story about something that happened to me this morning that was really super cool. I was heading out. Most days, I don't do a lot all day. I either golf or I ride my bike in the morning. That's it, at this time of the year. So I golfed yesterday, today's bike ride day. And so I got, it's a whole thing, right? I got to get the stupid little shoes on and the pants with the diaper in them and everything for the padding. So I get all ready. I get my bike outside the gate of my backyard, and I'm about to clip in, start up my Map My Ride app, and head out on my way to do a bunch of loops in the park, basically, is what I was planning on doing. Just as I was about to take off, a car pulled up to the curb right where I was. And it was an older, I got to be careful about older because I'm old, but this woman, it turns out, indeed was older than me. So an older woman was driving, and she'd rolled down the passenger window, and she was frantic would be an overstatement, but she was clearly in some sort of distress. So that immediately got my attention, and I could hear her saying from the car before I even got over to the window, "Ma, can you please help me? I need some help, please." And I, of course, said, "Sure. What can I do for you?" She says, "I'm looking for a church. I have to go to a funeral for my friend." She said the name of the friend. I don't remember the name of the friend. It's not germane to the story. "I'm looking for a church. I got to get to this funeral for my friend, and I'm confused about where I am." And I said, "Well, you did just pass a church there. I live a block from St. Mark's in North Buffalo." And she says, "No, that's not it. But I was supposed to turn right on Amherst Street." And I said, "Well, you're in good shape in that you are on Amherst Street right now. This is Amherst Street, so you've got that covered. And I said, do you remember the name of the church? And she says something. I don't remember. Ascension, maybe, I think is what she said. And so I think, hey, you know what? She doesn't appear to have a phone or with like map or anything or any kind of written directions at all. She's not holding papers or anything with notes on it about where she was supposed to go. She just says, I think it's this. So I have my phone in my hand because I was about to start up my bike riding app. And I said, okay, well, let's, let me type that into my map app here and we'll see what comes up. And the closest church with the name she had said to me, and I'm not sure what it was, so I won't say it again, was like other side of town, like West Utica, right? Like across town, west side. And so I tell her that, and she says, no, that can't be it. She says something about a bowling alley that she remembers. And I'm thinking, like, there's a bowling alley on the other side of Main Street from here, but I don't know of a church near there. And like, I'm like, that can't be it. And so I said, hold on a second. Let me just search churches in general. And there'll be a bunch that come up, and holy cow, do I live within 3 miles of a lot of churches. I'll bet a lot of us do. Anyway, so it came up, and I just started rifling through them, Church of the Good Shepherd, this Lutheran church, whatever. Like, no. I finally get to, I say, Annunciation. She says, that's it. And I said, well, you're in luck because that is, in fact, on Amherst Street. She's like, okay, well, what do I need to do? And I said, well, you just need to turn around and go back the way you came, and you're literally you should just keep going on Amherst Street. You will pass it. It'll be on your left. You'll get there. And she still seems worried. She'd been, I don't know, quite frantic by the time she saw me. She must have been driving for some time, feeling like, look, this happens to me. This can happen to anyone. Going the wrong way. I'm going to be late. I'm not going to make the thing I got to make, and I don't know where I'm going. And so I'm lost, right? And so she had been crying. She wasn't crying while we were talking, but I could tell she'd been crying. So she's upset. And she's like, how do I? And I start to explain, well, you just make it, turn around here in this driveway and just go back up Amherst. And she says to me, can you just take me there? Can you lead me there? And I sort of look down at I'm in the bike. I got the bike. The bike is how on my bike. She's like, yeah, can I just follow you on your bike? And I said, yeah, I don't see why not. I have nothing but time. She even said at one point, you must be busy. I'm sorry to be bothering you or something. I'm like, all I'm doing is going for a bike ride, lady. I got nothing but time to kill. If I weren't doing this, I'd be playing golf. So all right. Yeah, fine. Make your U-turn, and I'm going to head up Amherst, and we'll go together. So, I don't ride more. I'm probably going 15 miles an hour, pedaling really hard. City street, whatever. I can get up faster than that if I'm on, an open rural road, but there's red lights and traffic and whatnot. So anyway, she's just cruising along behind me. There's, a couple of people past her. There were a couple of honks, people behind her probably wondering, why isn't this person just passing this dude on the bicycle? And I'm trying to stay as much, where there's room to park cars, I'm riding way to the right on the shoulder to give her room and give room. Anyway, so it goes pretty well. It's only 2-3 miles maybe from my house. So we ride down Amherst Street, and thankfully it's the right church. At least upon arrival, getting in sight of the church, you can see there's a funeral. There's a bunch of people in mourning clothes out front, and there's a hearse, and I think this is it. So I pull off to the side, and she pulls off, still on Amherst Street, and she's like, okay, what do I do now? And I'm like, I think we want to find you a parking spot. She's like, okay, I have a walker, Like, all right, well, it probably would be better for us to turn around. You can park on that side of the street. So let's pull another U-turn. Let's wait, shoot for right up there. I'll go over there and tell you where to come. So I go across the street to where there's a parking spot and she can safely make a U-turn. There's a driveway she can pull into. Anyway, she parks the car and I open up the hatch of her car and get the walker out for her. And we finally, we talked when we initially had met there on the street outside my house, but she had told me her name and I had told her my name, and she starts now talking. We're walking down Amherst Street on the sidewalk with the walker. I'm walking with my bike and my stupid elf clip-in shoes and my stupid tight shorts, and she's like, I have a black belt in karate, she tells me, and I'm a professional bowler. And professional bowler, really? And I'm intrigued by this, right? But I'm also distracted because I'm looking at the scene in front of the church. I'm sort of waiting for someone there to recognize her, maybe. I'm noticing that there don't appear to be any sort of at least not at the front of this church, a ramp for someone with a walker. There's a lot of stairs, and I'm in these stupid shoes that I can't even walk down my basement stairs alone in and not feel like I'm going to break my neck. So I'm not feeling all that confident about helping this woman with a walker up the stairs. But thankfully, so she's telling me all this. I'm like, bowl, my parents bowl. She's, what's their names? And I tell her their names. She doesn't recognize the names. And suddenly here comes a guy walking. He's heading for the church. He just came up a side street and is walking beside us. And I say to him, excuse me, I'm sorry to bother you. This woman and I are strangers. We just met a few minutes ago. And I helped her get down here, but I'm not equipped to go into the church. Would you mind taking over here and helping her with her walker and she's like, I can walk up the stairs. I just need you to help me with the walker. And I'm like, and this guy says, yeah. And as I okay, you're all set, Mary. And she's like, thank you. I'm like, yeah, you're very welcome. No, it was really absolutely no trouble at all. I mean, really. And it actually made me feel great to do it. So I just go off on my way and I'm thinking, wow, what a cool thing. Do a nice thing for somebody. I'm not telling you this because I want credit. Just be nice. It feels really good. It's the best thing I've done in weeks. I'm telling you. All right, got to take a break. Sorry. It made me emotional. All right, I'll be back to put a lid on this after this on WGR.
A 1,000 people are watching it at one time. 8 people have clicked the like button. And that's offensive. In that community, no. Just please go out of your way, if you must, and just click on the thumbs up. Do we have the thumbs up? We do. Yeah, all right. Please click the like button. Yeah. It helps to grow. I believe it helps to grow the program.
Does it tell
the algorithms like it when you get more likes?
Does it reveal the identity of the person clicking the like? Not on YouTube. Okay, I'm going to click it then. All right, time is going to be tight here. We got more football coming in the 6 o'clock hour, so do hang with us for that. I barely got it out at the end. I'm sorry, I get emotional. The point, look, I'm not telling that story. I told it on Twitter today. I'm not looking for credit for being a good dude. I'm merely reminding you that it feels good to do stuff for people. That's all. I wanted to squeeze this part of the story in too, because I forgot about it. I didn't even realize it at the time. I am a creature of habit, like to a fault, to an embarrassing degree. I do a lot of the same things at the same time all the time, right? And so today is Wednesday. Wednesday's garbage day. And usually I put the garbage can and the recycling can out at the curb after my bike ride. On a Wednesday morning. Today, for a reason I don't really know, I thought, for some reason, I got my bike outside the gate, and I looked at the cans, and I thought, I'm gonna do that now. Even in the stupid little elf shoes, I'm gonna do it. The bike shoes. So I leaned my bike up against a tree, and I did that. It took 60 to 90 seconds for me to do that. And if I had not done that, I would not have still been there when this lady drove up. And when I thought about that, like, what a coincidence. Hopefully she would have found someone else who would have helped her, and everything would have turned out great. But it was entirely, I never do what I did that preceded that, and it delayed me just enough for me to meet her. So, turned out. All right. What did I say? Football. Yeah, we're back to it. Hard Knocks debut. We'll get Sal Capaccio's thoughts on that and the day of practice as we continue along here. Mike is away this week. I'm the Bulldog, and you're listening to WGR.